Open session. And we're going to start with our Taking Positive Steps of Service Award.
Yeah, so we have a Taking Positive Steps for Service Award for Casey Persick. So Casey, this was nominated for this by Coach Cody Endress. So I'm reading it in my best Coach Endress voice. I want to take a moment to reflect, thank and honor Casey Persick for all he has done for the School District of Lodi since last August. While Casey's been a wrestling coach for Lodi for the past 5 years, he went all in during this school year and truly helped the students in our district immensely by filling many different roles, wearing many different hats, and doing all jobs with care and kindness that we've come to adore from the Persick family. It was August that Casey first started his student teaching experience here in Lodi as a business education teacher in Lodi High School. Casey worked full-time as any staff member would, unpaid, while also finishing up his college degree in the area of business education and obtaining his teacher's license from DPI. Additionally, Casey still found time to be a varsity wrestling coach, help with crew youth wrestling, be an amazing father to his two young kids, and help plan his own wedding. In January, once finished with student teaching, Casey jumped right in as a substitute teacher in the School District of Lodi, filling needs and voids to support students and staff. Casey went wherever he was needed. In March, after his wedding, Casey was a long-term substitute teacher at Lodi Elementary School in OSC for Phi Ed and continued to sub in other locations as well. Lastly, this summer, Casey will be taking on the roles of middle school BFS summer lifting coach and working with our 5th to 8th graders. It's an extremely important role in the district, and we're thrilled that Casey will be the one leading our young student athletes. We're so thankful for all Casey did in the School District of Lodi during the 25-26 school year. We're excited for his future as a Lodi teacher and coach. Congratulations. Anything you would like to say?
I just appreciate it. There's so many of you here to help me get started with my student teaching, and obviously made a huge impact in my growing up and through school. So I can't thank all of you enough for helping me kind of finish everything up, hopefully, at this point. So thank you.
Great. Thanks, Casey. So here's a plaque or a thing suitable for framing.
Excellent.
And then,
Thank you.
since you did all that unpaid work, here's $100 grand. Try to make it a little bit better.
Thank you.
All right.
I've seen firsthand how dedicated this guy is, and Cody did hit on all the points. He's a great dad, and he is devoted to these kids. He will do anything he can to get there, so I appreciate having him in my family and in the district.
Mother-in-law will be invited to the next dinner.
Just for saying all those nice things.
Oh, no, Bob, you must do it.
I'm like, we're in business therapy. Covered up my food. Here we go. I usually get my head in. I think she would be good at this by now.
1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. Got it. Good.
Huge. You can stay for the whole board meeting, because I know you really want to, or you can go.
I was gonna say you got two.
I was gonna say Sky might want you to leave too, so.
Get the highlights from your mother-in-law later.
Bye, Casey.
Yeah, there you go.
And now I'm very excited. We have a presentation on the Washington DC trip.
Yeah, good evening, board. Yeah, you guys can go ahead and head on up there. So we're excited to have our 8th grade students. They put together a presentation to tell you about their experience in Washington, D.C. So I want to introduce Kennedy Drury, Caleb Schaefer, and Miles Wadzinski. And unfortunately, Josie Bain wasn't feeling well today, so she wasn't able to make it. But I'm going to turn it over to them to kind of tell you about their trip. Oh, shoot, I'm the clicker.
My name's Caleb Schaefer, and I'll be sharing about our trip overview. We left Lodi Middle School on March 14th at 5 in the morning and arrived back at Lodi Middle School on March 20th at 10:30 p.m. We drove about 870 miles just there on coach buses and had around 6 stops. Down in the bottom right, we all got aliens from Ohio. They were like little claw machines. And we were in Washington, D.C. for 3 days and Williamsburg, Virginia for 2 days.
I'm Miles Wadzinski, and some major sites we visited was the National Cathedral, the U.S. Capitol, the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial, and Mount Vernon. Some fun facts were the dye that was used for the pink windows is more expensive than gold. And in Mount Vernon, we saw how the people lived in the older days.
In DC, some other experiences we visited were Williamsburg, Jamestown, and Yorktown. Here in Williamsburg, we learned about jobs and what it was like living back then. Up here we learned about glass blowing. And then over here was Yorktown, where we mainly learned about when the original settlers and how they lived before.
Some direct links to 8th grade social studies was the Declaration of Independence, where social studies provided some of the background knowledge, but being able to actually see it in person brought it to the next level. And it also built on what we know for the Constitution and Bill of Rights. But what I liked the most was the Battle of Yorktown.
The memorial that impacted me the most was the 9/11 Pentagon Memorial. A fun fact, or just a fact about it, was that the graves were shaped like the airplane wings, and if they were facing towards the left, it represented that they died on the plane, and then if they were facing the right, they died in the Pentagon.
The site that left a lasting impact on me was the Iwo Jima, because it shows incredible courage and sacrifice of the soldiers who fought in World War II. The image or the picture of the soldiers holding up the flag represents determination, teamwork, and hope. Learning about the battle reminds me of human cost of war and importance of honoring those who served. Overall, DC was a great experience because we had a lot of bonding time and we got closer as a grade, and I recommend anyone who has the chance to go should definitely do it.
The memorial site that impacted me the most was the Washington Monument, because it was my favorite, and also it has some great meaning behind it. The meaning behind the Washington Monument is the immense respect, gratitude, and awe the nation felt for having its first president and founding father, George Washington. It also symbolizes the devotion to freedom, democracy, and leadership, while also embodying the enduring strength of the United States. Another fun fact is that over here, you can see that it was built with 2 different stones. And the reason behind that is because we were going to continue building, but we ran out of funds, and then we had to go to a war, and then we had to go with a cheaper stone because we didn't have much else to be able to build it.
Thanks to all who made this trip possible, most importantly to the school board for approving Lodi 8th grade to go on it, to Ms. Christensen for organizing our tour guides and meals, and then the families for putting money together to let your kids go. Any questions?
You guys did amazing. That was awesome.
That was great.
Yeah, that was really good.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
If you had a chance to go back again, what would you go see again? Each of you.
You can go first.
I think that I would like to go and revisit the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, because it was a bit crowded there and we weren't able to get much video, but the changing of the soldier was pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree with Miles. There was a few schools ahead of us, so we really didn't get the best view. We all had our phones up like this, just hoping we would get a little video of them exchanging.
Probably the Holocaust Museum, because it's very eye-opening and learned a lot of facts.
Okay. I was just looking at the questions you had here. So how DC was built and the purpose of its location. Do you know what that is? Do you know the answer to that?
I know, we're putting you on the spot.
That's because I don't know, and I was curious. I'll Google it later.
Does anybody here know?
I think the original capital was more north.
Capital moved a few times.
Yes. And then they moved it to DC because when it was more of Union and South, they wanted a more middle location, I think.
sense.
Okay, sorry.
Hey, Emily.
That girl's a sponge over there. She
I
remembers
have a
everything.
On slide 7, the Iwo Jima, was that at the Marine Base, Quantico?
Yeah.
I've been there. My daughter's been there.
So Josie, if you wanted to go back and see the Holocaust Museum, would you consider going on a Germany trip?
Probably.
Yeah, good.
Caleb was mentioning before he wanted to tell everyone about the elevator experience that he had.
On our first day of the trip, about 20 minutes before we had to leave, we crammed 20 of us into an elevator. We got stuck. A teacher from Indiana. There was like no cell service, so we really couldn't call our teacher.
They just wondered where you were.
Yeah, and when we did call our teacher, she texted us saying that she couldn't answer, and she would call us later.
How did you get out?
I think we told her it was an emergency, and then she was talking with the hotel staff. They kept signing us up, and then like dropping us floors just to see if we could like latch up to a floor.
What was the capacity of it? Was it?
We were looking for that. There really wasn't it was a pretty small elevator, so probably like 10,
20.
Yeah, definitely not 20.
Are you like scared of them now forever or no?
No, I mean, I just know not to cram 20 people in.
Learned a lesson.
We also had an interesting experience because there's a tornado watch
Oh,
here
yeah.
in DC.
Oh, lovely.
And when there's a tornado watch, they shut everything down. So we were planning to go doing more tours of, I don't remember where we were supposed to go.
And it was just a watch? When I've been a warning, they shut it all down?
And that's what all the kids said. They're
Oh.
like, this is just a tornado watch. This is not a big deal. But they shut all of it down. So we went back and hung out at the hotel, and the kids were awesome there. We had compliments everywhere we went for how respectful our kids were. And they did an amazing job. I didn't know I was going to go like being in a hotel for 3 hours with all of our 8th graders, but they were so chill, and they just sat in circles and played games and really had a great time connecting with each other. And then we kind of did some improvising and ended up going to a movie later that night, which was a great time too.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
That is
So I went on this when I was back in middle school, and I love when you guys do this because I loved it, but I wish I had more appreciation for it when I was that age. And I feel like you guys have that, so it makes me very happy because it's just such a neat trip. You get to go to so much stuff. Like if you actually did that on your own, it would be way more expensive and not nearly as fun. Look at the group you get to go with. So I appreciate the teachers and the staff and the students and the families signing up for it because I just think it's amazing experience, and I'm so glad that you guys went on it. And I love that you tell us about it.
Has it been now?
Well, Mr. Hilliker started
Mr.
it.
Hilliker started it.
It's probably been close to 30 years, I would say, if
Yeah.
not more.
It's more than,
Oh, does that
it's
mean
more
you're
than
the first
30
year
because
veteran?
No, it's
Well,
gotta
I
be-
am 30, so.
Oh,
Older than 30.
No, yeah, because we went on it, so did you get to go?
I did not go.
Oh.
But I went with the 8th grade 2 years ago, and then I was actually on this one too. It was a great experience
Yes,
again.
he missed Casey Persick's wedding because
I
of
did.
this. So that's how much it means to him.
What are your chaperones?
We had Nora Mack, which is Maddox Mack's mom, Paula Tunn, which is Greg's mom, Miss Heinzman, which is Miles's mom, and then Mr. Postborn.
Miss Christensen.
Oh yeah, Miss Christensen.
How many students? How many students?
You had her listed before.
I think 61,
61, I think.
Holy
yeah.
cow.
And it's just open to 8th grade now, right?
Correct.
Okay.
I used to be open to some.
That's
Yeah.
over half of that.
I think it's better with just 8th grade. I think it's a good choice.
Yeah.
Somebody was married
Kind of phase
because of
that.
that trip.
Mhm.
Thank you,
Well,
guys.
thank you guys, nice job.
We appreciate it.
Thank you guys so much for giving that
Thanks, moms.
presentation.
Thanks, moms and
Yeah,
dads,
and
for
you
bringing
don't have-
that.
Yes, thank you
Have a
guys.
great summer.
Appreciate it.
You could see it here years later.
Did awesome. Way to go.
Thank you.
Nice job. Appreciate it. Oh, yeah. Guess they're out the door.
Caleb.
Such a good photographer.
Now you have time. The nice job. Unless you got the.
Oh, wait, you got the board or no?
That's always good too.
at the airport.
Nice job. All right, thanks, guys.
Good job, guys, thank you so much.
Now we're all gonna remember why Washington DC is where it is.
Awesome. It's an awesome trip.
All right, so now we're gonna go through our consent agenda items. We have our minutes. We have many pages and pages of vouchers, like always. We have our fundraiser request. We have soccer snap fundraiser, our football entertainment cards fundraiser. Hey, volleyball fundraiser. We have our we do not have any fundraiser reports, no field trip request. And we have some committee recommendations for approval under curriculum. We have our annual textbook approval, and high school dance team is gonna be a little change in programming. And then under facility, we have our credit cards, fees, and athletic ticket and crew pricing. Under other, we have our WIA senior high membership renewal and our auditorium director job description revisions. We have no retirements. We have some resignations: assistant boys varsity soccer coach, high school math teacher, middle school special education assistant, 3 of them, health room assistant, 6th grade math language teacher, middle school volleyball assistant coach, high school ELA department chair, and 7th grade language arts teacher. Just so everyone knows, there is some switching around. We're not losing all of those people. They're just doing some switching. We are losing some, but it sounds scary when you see it. Under co-curricular, I am not going to read this because people will fall asleep. So, but it is as listed, and feel free to go on the agenda to look for everything. But it's pretty much nothing crazy. It's all of our sports.
Yeah, we just do all the co-curriculars this time of year for all of next year. So
Yes.
that's why they're all there. Every June we put them up there. So it's a really long list, but it's
Yeah.
our normal. We do it every
But
year.
it is kind of awesome to see everything that we
Yeah,
offer
there's all
for
the
the
different
kids.
things that happen behind the scenes, right?
Yeah.
Agreed.
Under community program crew, we have administrative assistant, and then we have 2 cheer helpers. Under regular staff, 5 summer cleaning crew, 7th grade math, language arts, and support teacher, high school phi ed health teacher, early childhood 4K teacher, primary school special education assistant, middle school special education assistant, summer school teacher, middle school administrative assistant, auditorium director, we are tabling, and high school math teacher will table. And under personnel, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 leave without pay request.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented with the additional approval of the football entertainment card fundraiser and volleyball fundraiser. Also table the auditorium director and math teacher.
I'll second that. Motion by Scott, second by Terry. Any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes 7-0. And now we move on to our administrative reports, and we will start with Lodi Elementary OSC.
Hello, board, thank you. So just a couple of things I wanted to highlight as we look at ending the school year. First of all, our strategic plan is the impact team, and I have been starting to look at our strategic plan refresh, and then also our current identity, I would say, of what we believe as a building as well. And so thinking about how making some goals for that starting for next year. But just a good reminder and a good time to reflect on our progress this year, but also start to think about next year. Also, 5th grade graduations happened. OSC 5th grade graduation and LES 5th grade graduation. These 5th graders are a great crew of kids. We're excited for all that they're going to do into the middle school, and I know that Mr. Pritzborn will enjoy them and the staff there as well. But we're super thankful for the staff, LES and OSC staff who put these celebrations together. It's a great way for us to be able to honor these students and also their families, and then wish them good luck in their future. I put a little quote on the bottom of that is very true, not just to our 5th graders, but for when the students change from year to year as well. It is one of the hardest parts about being a teacher, that you create a little family, and then you have to say goodbye every single year. And I will tell you, our staff are feeling that this year, and our students as well somewhat. So, field day though is a great, fun celebration day, and we had beautiful weather. Special thanks to Cody Endress and Deanne Kleinschmidt for all the work that they do to put this event together. Each year we also get feedback on, from our staff on how we can make that better, and we made some little tweaks this year that I think it really went well. Also special thanks to parents and the PTO who came and helped during our Kona Ice time, and help supervise kids and help that be successful. But it's just a great day with students and celebrating the year and getting outside. And then also just thank you for your belief in me. Again, some things that I really do think about each day is how little I know, how much I am needed, and how it's truly needed. There's nothing earth-shattering. We just show up, we do our job, and we get to work with these amazing kids, but also this amazing staff that I'm so lucky that you all support so well. So thank you for making it another great year at LES and OSC, and looking forward to next year.
Awesome, thank you. Lodi Middle School.
Good evening, board. So we're going to start out with Pillar 1, preparing for the future. Our 6th grade had Eland Electric come in and talk about the solar panel installation, and they did an awesome job with the kids, and they got out the boom truck, and that was really exciting for the kids. Unfortunately, you can see it's kind of like raining there, so the solar panel, they had it like hooked up to make something work, but it didn't have enough power because it wasn't sunny. But the kids said it was a great experience, and they did an awesome job, so I appreciate them putting that on for us. Under Pillar 2, Nurturing the Whole Child, we had our 2nd annual end-of-year celebration. And for that, we do a variety of different things. We have some competition between the grades where they play different games. They do some cup stacking. They do how many notes you can stick on their back. You can see the group in the middle there is doing a puzzle. But one of the coolest things they do during Teacher Appreciation Week, all of our students create shout-outs for our teachers, and they had, I think they probably had 10 different students come and just read their shout out for their staff member, and it's just a really great way to honor our staff and just shows the connection or how important like each individual person is in our school. Moving on to 6th grade dodgeball. So we had some iReady incentives for our kids, and in 6th grade, they meant their reading incentive, so they got to play dodgeball against the 6th grade team and their principal. And I would like to tell you the staff won, but we went against each homeroom, and we lost every time. And we could not have played any more dodgeball games, so I was glad when it was over. But no, it was a great time.
How many games did the staff have to play?
5. So we played against each homeroom one time. And then we still had extra time.
So they were fresh.
Jill Wells like, how about they just play against each other? And I'm like, that's a great idea because we're sweating. And but no, it was a really great time, and congratulations to them for all their hard work that they've put in and all the growth that they've shown this school year. Want to recognize our band, which went to the Kalahari to the Beyond the Notes Music Festival, where they play for a clinician and provide them with feedback in an effort to strengthen their musical skills. We had 86 7th and 8th graders go with our band, which is an incredible number. I want to thank Ashley Gulbronson for organizing that event for our students. We also have our annual all-school trip to the Kalahari, which was an amazing day. The kids are just great on this day. They do an awesome job just being independent, taking care of each other, staying with each other. So just a great day. It was a little stressful getting checked in when I got there, and I said, hey, I'm Derek Pritzborn from Lodi Middle School. And they went back and looked at all of their things, and then they brought me a school, and they're like, is this you? And I'm like, no. And then they're like, oh, I don't think we have you down for today. And I'm like, this is not good. But we're coming. The buses are on their way. No, but then our stuff was in a different area. But I got a little nervous, and then I ran the credit card through to pay for the trip, and there wasn't enough on there to do that. So it was not a good start to the day, but we got it done. It was a great trip overall, though. Pillar 3, Community Connection. So we had 38 6th graders that volunteered for the 5th grade Sneak-a-Peek. So they come to, 5th graders come to the middle school, and our 6th grade experts give them a tour. And it gets really positive feedback every year, and I'll be honest with you, I've never been on a tour, so like we practice in the morning, and I'm up front greeting families and sending them off with kids, and the feedback is always that it's really great. I think the kids, the 6th graders, I think feel really good about it because they can take some ownership over their school and being the expert, and I think the 5th graders really appreciate that, like there's a kid there, and that's like, they've gone through the experience, so they know what kind of questions they may ask, and yeah, no, they do a great job every year.
Well, and I think it's neat because they're just making a connection for the next year too.
Right.
You're going to
See
remember
each
that
other in the
person.
hall.
Yeah.
Absolutely. For district workforce, one of the things we've been pushing for the last 5 years since I've been here is PLCs, which are professional learning communities. And we continue to grow in that area, but I just wanted to acknowledge the growth that we've had, and our staff is really feeling this. So last year when we took the survey of, I think the question is, I have grown as a teacher because of the time I spent in my PLC. Last year, 7% strongly agreed, and this year, 28% strongly agreed, and I think it was about 72% of our staff said they had grown from it. The biggest thing that we have, is our staff and their collective knowledge of teaching, their collective knowledge of working with kids, and PLCs represent a time for them to share that with each other. And to me, that is the best professional development that we can have. What else? Oh, and then just want to thank our staff for a great school year. You know, school year is a lot for staff. I think it's an extremely difficult time, but it's also extremely rewarding. Our staff works very hard, and I just want to thank them for all they do, all the thoughts they put into supporting our students. They go above and beyond and care so much about the kids. I just really appreciate them. And then I also want to acknowledge we did have a staff member pass away, and I did put it in our board report, but just want to acknowledge how important each staff member we have is. And, you know, as an example, Dan McChesney passed away a couple weeks into May, and he was an educational assistant and did an amazing job connecting with kids. And it takes each individual person to really have a great school. And during our 8th grade graduation, we show a slideshow, and they showed a picture of Dan, and all the 8th graders cheered. So it was really great to see, because it just really showed that amazing connection he had with so many kids each day.
That's awesome. Thanks, Derek. Lodi High School.
All right, thanks, Heather. First of all, I want to thank everybody for being in our 2026 graduation commencement ceremony. Special thank you to Heather and Vince for speaking on behalf of the class of 2026. Thank you, Heather, for getting through it without crying too much. That's great. And then you see the list of all the other people that it takes a lot of people to make the graduation commencement ceremony happen. And so you can see all those people. I do want to especially recognize Mason Kittleson and Michelle Poles, who are the senior class advisors and do a lot of things behind the scenes. Not listed there, but I should have, is Delmore Nursery, who brings all of the plants that you see. They do a really good job. They bring tons of them. So they drop them off and pick them up at the end of the day. Yeah. So drop them off at the beginning of the day, pick them up at the end of the day. So I appreciate them. And then in the bottom left-hand corner are very handsome, beautiful-looking school board.
Yes.
I appreciate you guys so much for being there. All right, next page. Senior Honors Night. So we did have our Senior Honors Night in May. There's a lot of information there, things that stand out. $130,000 in scholarships from the community, 119 scholarships total. I do want to recognize Jill Gort and Grant Lemke. Jill Gort especially, the amount of work that she has to do. She spends most of April and into May getting ready for that event, coordinating all of the community members that come in. We did something different this year. We put our seniors on the stage. So if you notice that picture, that's them sitting there very uncomfortably, sitting on the stage in front of the audience. It cut the amount of time it took to hand out scholarships instead of them walking them up for every scholarship. So I think we'll continue with that next year.
And you get to see the kids that are getting it. Sometimes when they did that, they do it so fast and you don't even know below. I mean, you might know their name, but you know, seeing them is just nice to be up there.
Right.
And if you want to feel like amazing at our community, you guys go to that, because it is so crazy how many scholarships community members are giving to these graduates.
But I love
it makes you
hearing
really
their
proud.
backstories too, of
Yes.
where, like what the motivation was to establish the
Yeah,
scholarships.
the presenters do a really good job
Yeah,
describing
I
those.
mean, it was a lot, but it was like totally worthwhile to hear from all of them.
No, and they do well doing it and not taking 20 minutes, which they
Yeah.
probably easily could,
Yep.
you know?
Yeah.
But it's a night, I like that night, it's
Yeah,
fun.
they do a great job.
Fun
Was it Friends of Mackenzie gave a scholarship too, and now I can't remember her name.
Was it Juniper?
Yes, it
Yeah,
was
she was
Juniper.
doing the environmental.
Yes, and that should have stuck with me. Yeah, she's doing environmental studies.
That was awesome.
Other things related to graduation weekend, we had the graduation walk, and I wanted to thank our other principals in the district for allowing us to come into the schools. They don't just let us walk through their schools. They get ready, they make signs, they cheer, there's music playing, so I really appreciate Derek, Amy, and Eric for everything they do to prepare for that. Senior art signs, this started during COVID. It's a great way to celebrate and represent our students. And I do want to recognize Pam Cunningham, who actually, this year, she was the one that designed them. She did a great job. And then also Jill Gort for helping Pam and I set them up on Sauk Street. So they did a great job. If you haven't been to Sing and Swing, you need to go to Sing and Swing someday. So Sing and Swing is our music boosters, celebrates our kids in the arts, and it is always amazing. In fact, that is a picture of them at the end singing "Goodnight, Sweetheart," I think it is, which they do at the a cappella thing that they do.
That's it, a cappella.
Yep. So really talented. Nolan Pertzborn was one of the MCs. I've never seen that kid talk so much.
Oh, it was funny.
Great job.
I was nervous.
He is quite the comedian. And that takes a lot to get up there and just kind of like
That's
be
awesome.
up there and MC. So
I
he
would've
did a
loved
great
to go.
job. State track qualifiers, this was put in before state had taken place this past weekend. So we did have an opportunity to do a drum line for them, which was awesome. So Bennett Nyquist, Riley Wilcox, Maddie Skellinger, and Aubrey Schuneman. Bennett got a 3rd and a 5th in the 300 and the 100 hurdles. Other noteworthy, Aubrey Schuneman got 10th, but she was the top freshman in the state in the 3,200 mile run. So they did a great job.
And they had a major rain delay, and
They-
it was
yes.
super hot.
Yeah, it's
So-
either really hot or there's always a
Yeah.
tornado warning or some type of major rain delay at the track meet. I'm gonna let Emily talk a little bit about this. I do wanna appreciate the SAPS Club for everything that they do for our school, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. Allowing our 8th graders to come over to learn a little bit about some of the activities they do. This is the first time we've done this, and we're definitely gonna do it again.
I think it's
So-
an awesome idea.
Yeah, so I'll let Emily talk a little bit more. As we go down, we did a school communication survey, so we try to survey everyone, but 209 students replied to this survey. And it basically talked about a few topics, one being announcements, and where are they getting their information, what's the best way to communicate with them. This was something in our strategic plan we kind of started, but we really want to implement some things next year. I'm not gonna go through the entire survey, you guys have that in front of you, so you can take a look at that. But we learned some valuable information, not just about like announcements and our advocate videos, but also about like what is best for all the kids that are in athletics and all the other activities, and the apps that they have as far as getting communication from coaches and everybody else.
I like the one, I'm listening to music.
What is that?
The responses are great.
The little green mark in the pie, it's very little, which is good, but I'm listening to music during the
Yes, I'm
announcement.
listening to music, so I'm the one that does the announcement, it does not surprise me at all. Okay.
But what's really quick, sorry, it's just refreshing that social media wasn't number one. Because
Right.
that age usually, I mean, hearing it over the loudspeaker was most popular, that's.
Yes. So-
Except the person listening to music.
Except for the kid listening to music. But, I wanted to thank Rob Hatch. He did this at all the schools. We provided ice cream. Rob's done that for the last 3 or 4 years, which has been awesome. Advocate videos, you can see them. The top one is the 250th birthday celebration that our advocate kids put together. They put one together, and then I made them go back and do it again because I think they, when I explained to them exactly what they needed to do, they made it really, really funny, almost too funny. So they got a little bit more serious about the celebration, but they did an amazing job when it came down to it. And that's one of the things about working with the advocate kids is they send me it, they show it to me, and they're very much into feedback. So I give them the feedback, they go back, and they sometimes start over, and sometimes they just tweak some things, so.
So somewhere there's a bootleg, uncut version.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
There is, and I have access to it, so really. No, it's fine, it's just a little bit too satirical
No, it makes sense.
for celebrating.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
if you watch the other videos, they're very funny, and it's very much satire in a lot of ways, but anyways. And then the last part, if you want to take a look at all the pictures that were taken by Hallie Jelinek and Audrey Parpart, did a great job during graduation, which is a little stressful because you want to get every single one of them, and I appreciate the input as far as like flipping it, so the graduates would come to you guys first.
We loved that.
No, that
Loved
would
it.
be
It
So
made it
much
so much
easier.
easier.
That was great.
We knew who was coming in.
And I know the parents loved it too,
Yes,
that have been through it before, you know?
I think so.
I'm glad, thank you, it was awesome.
And that is the high school report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Curriculum.
Okay, thank you, board. This first item is something we reviewed in detail at the last curriculum committee meeting of the board. And we have a phenomenal turnout of educators, once again, educator teams that are collaborating this summer and doing summer curriculum work, we call it. They're doing a variety of great work like actively updating lessons, aligning with standards, doing professional development, and diving deep into data to maximize student learning across all grade levels. So a big thank you to all of the educators that are working already this summer. We have a group in tomorrow and we have a data team meeting.
That's a long
on
list.
Thursday, and a lot going on. Speaking of data, our latest spring district benchmark results are ready. So this is our local data, things like iReady, AimsWeb, et cetera, not our ACT or forward state data that's not available quite yet. The curriculum committee will be conducting a detailed review of our growth and then our achievement and how it compares to Wisconsin averages and national averages at our upcoming meeting here in June. As I look at this data, I saw positive results in every building. I was especially reminded though about the incredible solid foundation that our primary school creates for our students in the district and the part that Amy Fossbender has played in that success during her time with us. And as this is our last board meeting, I just wanted to say thank you to Amy for setting us up for ongoing success at the 4K2 level. And then lastly, community partnerships. I know that Derek touched base on this already, but a big thank you to Upper 90 and Elon Electric for making time to connect with not only our sixth graders, but also some of our freshmen as well, giving them incredible hands-on opportunities to talk about career pathways within their industry and get a direct link to our solar project that's going on. It was very fun being up on the roof.
I was gonna say they're up on the roof. That's fun.
Nick, let me ask you about this summer curricular time. So this seems like a very impressive list. It doesn't just seem like regular everyday stuff.
Yeah.
Is this unique to, I realize teachers all over are doing summer curriculum, but is this like different than other schools or?
It's a process that I conducted in my former district as well, but our teachers put a lot of thought in it. There's a form that they complete. The form asks them to justify their project proposal and how it connects to our current curriculum or curriculum they'd like to bring in or connect to in our strategic plan. That is then reviewed by the full administrative team. And it fits within to the budget allotment that we have set for that. So it is a process, and then they get a notification of approval, and so it's.
So the administrative team is looking at this going, wow, yeah,
There's
of course we're gonna
incredible
do
work
it.
going on.
Of course
The
we're
work
gonna-
that happens in the summer
Right.
drives our district forward. And has a direct impact on students for the upcoming school year.
So we budget for that, we have a certain budget we set aside, and so we're always having to cut some requests that are made or pare down some requests, but the administrative team does a really good job going through that, making sure, just as Nick said, that the information, or that what we're approving is what we need to approve, what the district needs to move forward and is connected to what we're already doing. So I appreciate all their work on their behalf as well.
Thanks, Nick. Okay.
Hey. So the pre-venture program was completed with 7th grade students at Lodi Middle School. The students were assigned to one of the 4 personality types according to a brief survey they completed earlier in the year. LCANT completed all 4 of the pre-venture groups at the middle school. Thank you to Mr. Pertzborn and Mr. Franklin for their support in piloting the program. Graduation letters were sent out to all graduating seniors from Lodi High School. The letter is a reminder to celebrate the graduation season responsibly and to keep students in the community safe. The letter included signatures from the district administrator, Lodi High School principal, LCAT director, and the chief of police at the Lodi Police Department. We are fortunate to have a new police chief, Jessica Kwame, included in the letter. Summer Safety Fair on Thursday, June 11th, 2026, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the Lodi High School. This will be in conjunction with Summer School Open House. Vendors will be on hand to discuss how to keep kids safe during the summertime. All community members are welcome, and this is a free event to attend. Youth Art Show is in conjunction with the City Art Show on July 4th, 2026. 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Haberman Park in Lodi. The Youth Art Show will be in conjunction with the Lodi Art Club's Art in the Park event. Youth who are interested are still able to sign up. And I'm just letting people know that it's good to have cash in your pocket for them. They don't have squares. Cash or check.
Okay.
So, because they sit there and they're waiting and they have really nice stuff. LCAT is looking for volunteers to help with National Night Out. National Night Out is on Tuesday, August 4th, 5 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at Lewis Burns Park, Harmony Grove. It's in Harmony Grove, even though that's a Lodi address. Attend the next LCAT meeting to learn more or reach out to Brian or Sarah for more information about volunteering for this event. LCAT is hosting a National Night Out planning meeting on Wednesday, June 17th, 9 a.m. in the morning here. Let's see, LCAT's next meeting, as far as a regular meeting, is on Wednesday, August 19th, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. at the school district office. And that'd be it.
Awesome. So there's no meetings this month or in July, just August, just the next
And
one?
no, there is this one that will be in July. It's Wednesday, June 17th. But that's the National Night Out planning one.
I see, okay, okay.
Right, so it's not a regular meeting, it's the
Okay,
planning one.
Thank you, sorry about that, okay. Student services.
Thanks, Heather. First, the district provided a career exploration experience for 16 students in grades 8 through 12 at All-Car in Lodi. During the visit, students toured the manufacturing facility, observed different employees doing different jobs, and learned about all of the trades and career opportunities that are within that facility. Students got a taste of that real-life experience while they were on the production floor and gained first-hand exposure to the technical skills and teamwork involved in the company. This hands-on career exploration opportunity provided valuable insight into a local manufacturing career and the educational and training pathways to support them. Next is Activity Day. Lodi hosted Activity Day on May 21st at Haberman Park. This was the end of the school year celebration for the Tri-County Transition Team. As a reminder, that team is a social cohort existing of students in the 18 to 21-year-old transition program from Baraboo, Columbus, DeForest, Sauk Prairie, and Wanakee. So participation supports their social, emotional, and mental health, encouraging independence and self-advocacy, promoting that lifelong learning and recreation skills. Students were able to expand that social network, gain valuable real-life experience, and develop a stronger sense of belonging within their communities. And finally, on June 4th, following our staff breakfast and our end-of-year kind of ceremonies, all of our educational assistants throughout the district came together to, first of all, talk about students' needs going into the next school year as a transition meeting time. That was the first part of our meeting, and then also our conversations during that time were focused on student interest and their strengths. We talked about those successful strategies used during the school year and how to continue to maintain and grow those in the following year. Assistants were also given a thank you card that included notes of appreciation from teachers and administrators. I had sent out an email, I don't know, maybe a month ago or so, and very quickly our assistants received 214 notes of appreciation through that email. So the themes are here listed for you to be able to read as well. So just a big shout out for that work group and how important they are for our students.
Wow, that's a lot, thank you very much. Wow, your email box must have been really full. Lodi Primary School.
All right, we've had a busy few
Our
weeks.
last report.
I know.
Mrs. Fossman.
So it's been a busy few weeks. We've had the Start with Lodi Friday event, spring concerts, 4K picnic, kindergarten celebration, grade 2 parade, our final family gathering. We had Lodi EMS visit. We had undercover dress-up days, ice cream truck for staff, retirement celebrations, and more. I did want to just take a moment. This is a picture from me 6 years ago. I just wanted to thank the school board, administrative team, staff, and community for helping me be the leader that I am today. For my first day, people welcomed me into the community with open arms, and it's been a joy to serve alongside this team. I'm proud of the accomplishments that we've done together, and we'll treasure this time forever. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I should have done that at the end. Next, I wanted to just highlight Wisconsin Act 95 video and birthday cards. The students have been busy working on doing that. There's a video that we had put together sharing what this is, and then the students created some different cards, and we've got pictures and things that we'll be highlighting and sharing out shortly with that. With Pillar 1, preparing for the future, our teachers have grade level SLOs that they work together, and all of these really help go to, towards helping us reach our goals for the scorecard. So a lot of celebrations, all the grade level teams met their SLO and surpassed it. So for 4K, thinking about uppercase letters and lowercase letters, kindergarten, the Ames Web Reading Readiness Screener, their goal was 75%, and they hit 89% of them making that goal. First grades, their goal was 75% of the students at or above the 25th percentile, and they also accomplished that as well. They're broken apart a little different ways there. And then second grade was 75% of them, and they hit 84%. For Pillar 2, Nurturing the Whole Student, we had a Lodi Pride Classroom Challenge. Classrooms were able to share a way that they have demonstrated Lodi Pride, and then the Blue Devil came, and they got a picture taken with that. For Pillar 3, I just wanted to thank, we have several individuals that are reading pals, and they come every Friday and help support students. They work a lot of times with our students, not maybe our most striving students, but kind of like that next level, and help just build a positive relationship with them. So I wanted to thank those individuals for that. And then at the very bottom, Heritage Park Edition, with Strive with Lodi Pride, the generosity of this community is amazing. We have this playground structure that will be coming shortly. We're hoping to install that in July, I believe is when they're going to try to do this. So this will be a climbing structure that goes behind Sarah Cahalan's that she had last year there too. So a great addition to Heritage Park.
Awesome. Thank you. And last but definitely not least, whatever, student reports.
So, high school students were very involved in finals and preparation for finals, so that consumed a lot of what we were thinking about. So I decided to keep this one a little shorter. But on June 1st, which was the first day of finals, your finals really only go until like, 1:30 to ish. So South Club put on the club fair. I kind of talked about this a little bit last time, but it's kind of like the job fair if you're familiar with that. They had tables and representatives from each club, and 8th graders got to come in, walk around, kind of go to different clubs that they might seem interested in, and they had this sheet that they could fill out about their interests, when they would meet, in what room, and then they also were able to have little place, like name card things, that they could put their name on and drop a slip. Like they had 3 slips, they could drop their slip at a club. So next year, that club can reach out to them specifically and be like, hey, last year you seemed interested, here's when we meet, like, let's get you started. So they don't have like this, did they start yet, or like what's going on?
Right. That's awesome.
So I want to give a thank you for all of the help we had putting that on, with all of the administrative help and teachers, and all of the club members that decided to stay after finals. So yeah.
So the 8th graders just walk over, like, and
Yes.
all 8th graders?
All the 8th graders walked over. And they
That's
were
awesome.
great.
I think it's a great idea.
So this was Yaretzi's project, and when she came, as a freshman, she was afraid, right, to be a freshman.
Yeah.
And she said that she wanted to do this project to calm the 8th graders, to get them to understand it's a wonderful place, and you can come over, and they'll be welcomed when they get here. And so that was her motivation for doing this. So.
Yeah. Well, my daughter came home and said, do you know they have a SAPS club at the high school? I said, yes, I do know that. And then she told me all about it, so good work. She'd have never known until, next year if you guys hadn't done
Especially just because the beginning of 9th grade, especially high school in
Yeah.
general, is so overwhelming. So this is gonna, like you said, just kind of make it more like, oh, I'm excited about this, or.
And knowing freshmen, they'll bring a friend.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they won't want to come alone.
That's true.
Yeah. We try to have as many like lower classmen, freshman people be representing them, so they're like, oh, I've seen you before. Like, you're a freshman, you're a sophomore. Like, at least it's a little bit more familiar than somebody that they've never seen before. But we did what we could. And then just a little shout out to the softball team.
Yes.
Because they're going to state. They won a very, very close game against Adams Friendship on Thursday. And they will compete on Friday, June 12th in Madison.
Woo-hoo. Where in Madison are they again? Do you know?
Yes.
Yeah, where in Madison?
Goodman Field, right, is that the name of it?
Goodman Diamond.
Goodman Diamonds.
And can I add a little bit to that?
Yep.
If you don't mind. So we are gonna get information, I've been working with Nate Sievers, the fire chief, about, they're gonna get an escort out of town at 9:30 in the morning, because they're gonna leave pretty early to go watch a few games. They play at 2, and there's also more information out there, you can see it in Facebook and on our website about all the details as far as getting tickets and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, that'll be happening. We don't know exactly what the route's gonna be, so we're working on that, and we'll get that information out to the community as soon as possible.
Awesome. And on another important note, those girls can play in the alumni softball game, and then 2026 is gonna win.
Yes.
They have this whole thing planned out. They're very excited.
Yeah. They are.
Focus on what's important.
Yes.
Nice softball.
Thank you, Emily. And we will move on to Dr. Vince Heinrich's report.
So, end of the school year, I just want to thank all of our students, our staff, and our families for a great school year. It wrapped up officially on June 3rd for students and June 4th for staff. On June 4th, we were able to recognize staff for their years of service and our retirees from the district. A special thanks to our retirees for the tremendous impact they've had on our students, our schools, and our school district community. So I want to thank Neil Reibel, our Director of Building and Grounds, Rick Brisky, custodian, Carrie Rashid, kindergarten teacher, Sue Chambers, reading specialist, Amy Jelnick, high school English and STEAM teacher, Jim McKellar, high school Spanish, Renee Moldenhauer, high school special education teacher, and Mo Palmer, administrative assistant to the board and district administrator.
I'm glad I did not wear mascara that day. That was emotional.
There's a lot of people. And thanks to the board members who were there to help with that. The staff really appreciate that as well. District balance scorecards and school balance scorecards. So the district is putting the finishing touches on the stoplighting the district and building scorecards that has already started the process of creating new scorecards for next year based on the refreshed strategic plan. As a reminder, these are the tools the district uses in implementing the strategic plan each year. The new scorecards will come to the curriculum committee in August and will be approved at the board meeting in September. So we're trying to just turn around and start that process.
Kind of exciting that we're starting a new one now.
It is. Referendum projects, just if you're aware, the district will be kicking off 2 major referendum projects in June. Phase 2 of the high school roofing project began at the end of last week with staging of materials. There's also some major cabling project that started today at the elementary school in OSC and will also happen in this building as well. And this building will be closed the week of July 6th through 10th, and really closed. Like a lot of times we're closed, but there's people here, but they will be putting in cable, so there's no internet, and then they'll be coming in cleaning after that. So that week after the 4th, this building will be closed and be cleaned. One other thing, just a reminder to the board, this seems far off, but the Lodi Fair is coming. Fair time is fun time. And as you remember, our board members have to choose artwork.
Oh my gosh.
This is like one of the hardest things.
I know.
So I will put something in the weekly notes, and we will send you an email for you to choose grade levels, and then you'll have to send your choices to Jill.
Yes,
So
block off
we
2
can-
hours.
At least.
Make a decision. I'm just putting it on your radar, right? It's almost a month away, but it'll be here before you know it.
I think I spent almost 2 hours just looking, oh my God, how do you choose? It's so hard.
And it's not about first, second, and third, it's about your personal,
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
art
Yeah.
preference.
My kids kept trying to tell me which ones they liked, and I was like, you guys just go
Yeah, I
do
was
your
gonna
own
say,
thing.
go
Go
right
right
away.
This isn't what I
Yes.
feel.
Yeah.
Compelled, you know, like kind of like connected to.
Yep,
So.
yep.
Well, and a big thank you to, obviously, that art gets there, but it's,
Yes.
first of all, our art teachers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whitney, Tekla, and Dwayne, then
incredible.
our fair coordinators who help get it there.
Yes.
Right,
There.
Michelle, Whitney, and
And
Tekla.
take it all down.
And hang it up.
So we really
When it's
appreciate
usually
that.
90 degrees
Yeah.
out.
Right.
And like get it all back to the kids.
Yes.
With their little $2 or
I know,
whatever they
I
get.
know, I love it.
They get a ribbon.
And finally, I'd just like to say again, thank you to Amy for her leadership. She's fortunate enough that she took a chance on us.
Yes.
And she's done a great job in leading the primary school. We wish her nothing but the best as she leaves us, but she's done a great job and left a great school and a great place for Sarah when she comes in. So we are so appreciative for the work you've done, Amy, and thank you. We're forever indebted to you as sort of the families and students here in the school district of Lodi. And the same goes with Jason Marshall, who's also going to be leaving us. He has done a phenomenal job for the past 13 years in the district, the last 6 as the assistant principal.
Always
the only great thing about Jason Lee is we got one less Cub fan in the district. But otherwise, I will miss him and all the work he does and being able to talk about baseball and football.
I'm a Cub and Bears fan.
Poor
You
Joe.
never asked me that.
It's-
Joe, what are you gonna talk about?
You were still here.
I don't know.
So we will miss Jason. He's done a phenomenal job, so, as well.
Well, thanks, Vince. And yes, I want to say that too, Amy's last board meeting, Mo's last board meeting.
Oh, it's a biggie.
It's pretty vital to the district, and we are going to miss you guys immensely.
Yes.
But Jill's going to do amazing. And we've already warned her how annoying we are, so. All right, so now I no longer have one of my most beloved roles as a Lodi School District parent. Still feels weird, but crying sessions have started to diminish. But as this chapter is closing for me, I'm excited to put even more time towards one of my other most beloved roles as a school board member. Seriously, I am thanking the community on behalf of my family for giving me this role. Otherwise, life would be way worse for them, and in turn, or for me, and in turn for my family. I have so much passion and love for this role, and I'm excited to put even more time towards it. And no time could be better for that extra time since we have the dreaded R word sneaking up on us. As I've said in the past, we as a district have already been putting so much time and effort into the upcoming referendum, and now it's time to get down to the fine details. I'm pretty sure I can speak for all of us board members about the lack of sleep we are getting right now. This is the first time I've been through this process as a board member, and I can't thank the community enough for helping us along with the survey results, the numerous emails, phone calls, and conversations that we are having with everyone sharing their insights and opinions. All of your comments and concerns are important to us. With that said, things don't always get communicated correctly, and I've heard some misperceptions out there. We'll be having listening sessions, and we'll be putting out as much info as possible about the referendum details. But one thing I would love as school board president is to ask the community once again, I know we are so needy and I apologize for that, to please not assume anything when it comes to our district. Ask questions, bring up your concerns, and please don't stop until you feel informed about our district and what we are doing. Please look at our website, email us, do your own research if needed, and get the answers that you need personally. It'll absolutely break my heart if anyone's vote is based on false information. We know that everyone is constantly adjusting to things happening in our community and in our world, so please don't ever think for a minute that the Lodi School Board is not thinking through every detail of what we are asking from our community. We try to look at all of our decisions from numerous perspectives and are constantly trying to benefit as many of our students as possible. This referendum is a community referendum, not a school board referendum, not a district superintendent referendum, and much more than a district referendum. This is a community decision, and I want everyone to feel part of it. Okay, so enough R word talk. I promise I was not dared to say how many times I could say referendum in one report. I would like to end my report thanking the community and the district for a beautiful graduation ceremony. It's always great seeing full stands for our ceremony supporting our graduates. I want to congratulate all of our students for finishing the year strong and hope you feel proud of yourself for completing another year of school. I also want to thank all parents, teachers, and staff for getting through the last few weeks of school with our students' energy levels bursting through the roofs and the attention spans dwindling. It's always so exciting at the end of the school year, and I truly appreciate everyone's patience and support for our students. I still remember the feeling as a student and the bittersweet feeling as a parent. I hope everyone has a wonderful and safe summer.
Nice.
Thank you. Thanks, Heather. Yes. All right, so speaking of that R word, here we go. Referendum 2026 discussion.
Yeah, so the district has been working diligently to engage our community through the referendum process. The district has held community engagement sessions each of the last 4 years to share information about the progress of the projects of the 2022 referendum, the reason the district relies on operational referendum, what's the money's been spent on during, as well as the operational referendum, and the need to replace that operational referendum, and then the work that we're doing looking at facilities and green space and things like that. So I have a overview presentation kind of just to walk through. This is all very familiar to the board. We've been through this several different times, but I just want to make sure that the community members can hear this as well and as we walk through it. So please feel free to interject, board members, when you need to. So first and foremost, everything that we do in this district drives from strategic planning. So we did a strategic plan in 2021. This was the strategic plan. We brought the community into the room. If you remember, we did it at the gym at the high school. Had over 100 people in there for 2 nights. We had a community group that we have stakeholders that the board chose to help drive that. They ran the tables, they took the data, they're the ones who helped put this together and brought this back. And this drove everything we did, including the 2022 referendum, right? And just a reminder, that referendum is a $5.98 million referendum, operational through the 26-27 school year. So it goes this next school year. There's $3.85 million for operations, $2.13 million for projects. I talked a little bit about some of the projects that are ongoing still, and we'll have another summer of those projects after this summer. But the other thing that referendum did was allowed us to maintain staffing, to maintain programs, to provide interventions, and the result of those have shown up on our school report cards. So last year, the 2025 Wisconsin School District Accountability Report Card, Lodi had the 10th highest score amongst 4K through 12 school districts in the state of Wisconsin.
And how many school districts are there? How about?
420 some. The school district, our district was the highest rated in Dane County, Columbia County, and in our CISA. All our schools received either exceeds expectation or significantly exceeds expectation. Our high school ranked 13th out of 400 plus public high schools. Middle school ranked 28th out of our 350 public middle schools. And the district's growth score ranked 3rd in Wisconsin, and its achievement was in the top 20%. And the bottom line is also very important. We had 7% of our students participate in state assessments. Like, it wasn't just like we were just picking and choosing. We had everybody doing that, and it shows. Another way to look at it, which I think also brings it home, this is the top 20 school districts if you use the state report card. Here's Lodi, New Glarus, a couple. Everywhere else is really kind of clustered around the Milwaukee suburbs, some of the private schools. So it just kind of puts it like how we stand out in the state. And again, that wouldn't have happened without the last referendum passing and having the supports in place for us to do the things that we do. So when people ask, like, well, what happens with the operational referendum money? That's what happens with it. We use it, right? We have smaller class sizes. We can provide the interventions we need for our students and the supports they need. But it's not just test scores. We can do all this other great stuff too, right? It was mentioned, state softball, right? We planted 2,000 trees this year. Who else does that? Mock trial, science classroom, one of our school board members on the stage, right? A musical, and all the other great things that we do each and every day all come because of our community supporting our schools. So, steps that we took based on that strategic plan, though, was like we increased our communication. We had, annual board community engagement sessions, and we talked about the referendum with the community, invited them in to talk about where that referendum money's going, because that was one of the things that happened. When I first came in the first referendum, it's like, well, what happened to that money? How's that being spent? So we, as a board, have met with the community every year to have that conversation. We've also been looking at staff compensation models. Like, how can we, because we have to look at our district workforce. And then operational excellence. It talks about budget forecasting, studying the future needs to ensure operational viability. That's where our community viability team got its name, right? We have to look at not just now, but into the future. So that's the work that this board has done. And so the board has a lot of resource documents that they are going to be looking at or have been looking at over the last years, I should say months, years, right? So we just refreshed the strategic plan. So that was finalized in December. We had guiding principles that this board has put together to talk about how to make a decision about going to recurring or non-recurring referendum, and also how to make decisions around facilities and green space. We had a community group. I'm going to step back. The strategic plan. We brought a community group of stakeholders together to run the strategic planning process. So we brought the community into the room, and they reached out. We did community viability team did the same thing. Brought a group of stakeholders together, brought them into the room, and gathered information. So getting information from our community. We've done Baird budget forecasting, applied population study, and then we took all that information and surveyed the community again and asked more information from our community. And I know Heather said at our last meeting she's sick of this graphic, but it really talks about, like, this has not been, right? It's going to seem to some people like they just radically made a decision today in June, right? There was a lot of work going on prior to this, right? We started it a couple years ago when we started talking about facilities, like how do we know, before we get a community viability team together, what do we know what we need? So we had people come in and look at our spaces and work with our people in the career and technical education spaces, work with our coaches, and help us determine, like, what people working in the spaces, what's working really well, what's not working so well. And then let's look at other spaces and how other districts have done things, like brand new, but also how they've remodeled some spaces and things of that nature. And came up with some ideas that were brought forward to the board and then the community viability team. So we went through that process. Last year, last July, we had the applied population study that was shared here. We engaged Baird. We did strategic planning. Last year, right after this meeting, we had a meeting the following Wednesday to develop the community viability team. That started meeting in September. So all this stuff has been going on behind the scenes and has provided anchor information for our board to make these decisions and gather input from our community. So here's a strategic planning team in action, right? Community in the room. And again, they surveyed our community. They had ideas fair. And so you saw last year, we just talked about the fair. That sign was up at the fair last year, gathering information. Plus you get cheese curds. We had ideas fair. So people come in, so you could either do a survey or people were interviewed, or they could come in and we asked them the same questions. So we could gather information for however people felt most comfortable. And this is what developed out of that. The strategic plan refresh, which is driving the work that we're doing now. And we talked about it earlier, I talked about it earlier about we're now creating our new scorecards based on that. With academic excellence on top, success beyond the classroom, supportive and engaging culture, and the support or the foundation of all of it, strong and inspired staff, operational and financial sustainability, all under the umbrella of community connections. And then we brought the CBT group together again, brought that stakeholders from all different walks of life in the community and gathered their input and had them walk through all the information because our facility and finance group our committee has been going through this for the last 5 years over and over and looking at all these different options, and now it's time to have fresh eyes look at it and say, what do you think from a community perspective? What would be the priorities? And then the guiding principles, the board had retreat worked with Drew Harwick, and we talked about board development, professional development, and some of the things that came out of that was developing these guiding principle documents to help make these decisions, not when they're right in front of you when you're emotional about them, but when they're a couple years off and you can kind of really think about, like, what are the important factors we need to know. And then, right, we didn't just put that all there, we also currently worked at our budget. We continue to look at our budget, and that's the next item on the agenda, and we're going to approve next year's budget. But right, we looked at ways that we can reduce our budget. We took our health insurance out to bid, our liability, property insurance out to bid. We looked at adding solar to help offset energy costs, and we brought in Data Wrangler to help us lower our energy costs in other ways. We reviewed our staffing and enrollment numbers. We reviewed staff retirees, and we reduced $310,000 in staffing through attrition this going into next year. Again, always looking at ways to be fiscally prudent as well. And then, again, that all went into a community survey for school perceptions. And what did we get back from that survey? There is a majority support for renewing the operating referendum at $5.98 million. Respondents prefer a non-recurring referendum setup. There was majority support for adding additional compensation to staff as well, and asking for additional support for that. There was support for a $15 million building referendum, which was above 50%, but within the margin of error. So support grows outside the margin of error for a smaller building or project-based referendum. And the highest priority area among projects, for building projects, was career and technical education. And that came through the CBT group, as well through the survey. And we also asked some performance metrics and satisfaction metrics, and we were outperforming all of our peers in that area, according to our community as well. Again, as a result of the support we get from our community. So the board's process has been, first of all, develop all these processes, right? And have meetings to set up other people to have meetings, to gather information from them. Or to have a meeting to talk about a survey, so we can go out and survey and do all those things. And then when that process is done, reviewing that information. So approving the strategic plan, but then using it, and using that to make decisions. Approving the community viability team, and then looking at their recommendations and using that to drive a survey. Putting this community survey together, then looking at those results and helping that make a decision. And then you had special board meetings on May 27th and May 1st to really dig into all that information. And go through it and ask questions and ask for more information and those pieces. And those discussions really focused on these things. Community's priorities, which is really a strategic plan, needs versus wants, providing resources and facilities to meet the needs of our students, our staff, our families, and our community, and the tax impact of all that. How's it going to impact our community? So, we're first going to look at the operating referendum, that question, right? So the operating referendum ends at the end of next school year. The reason we would go in November is it's the biggest election coming up. It's a gubernatorial election, so we get the most community members coming out. So it's the community school district. The more voices we have, the better. Secondly, it gives us the opportunity to plan. Right, when we did the one in April, 5 years ago, or 4 years ago, we did the one in April. It's really difficult to plan for the next following school year when you don't know what your budget's going to be, right? So most people try to do it ahead of time. We couldn't 4 years ago because there was not a November election in an odd year. So, but when we're looking at an operating referendum, the assumptions that are built into that, just so people know, we have to have built-in assumptions. We don't know for sure if this is going to happen or not, so it's predicting 5 years out that our property value is going to grow 5%. Equalized value is going to grow across the district. We're going to have compensation increases. Our health insurance increases of 8.6%. Transportation increases. Other budget increasing that much. Fund 41, we're going to put money more into Fund 41, so we're going to have to put a referendum if we need to work on the track or we need to do some work other places. We're going to set money aside to help plan for those things. And then that there was a staffing reduction, which reduced our budget moving forward. We also have some IT projects built into that. Nothing compared to what we had in the last referendum. We had much more significant IT projects, but we still have some IT stuff to be done. Some servers, wireless, the Wi-Fi system, security cameras, firewall, so security. Our phone systems come into the end of life in 2029. Our high school clocks and bell system are coming to the end of their life, right? Again, high school seems like it's a brand new building. It's almost 30 years old. And then we talked about market analysis for staff, doing a 90% market analysis for certified staff, and then doing a significant bump for our support staff to the tune of $1 or $1.50 an hour increase, and that would be another $675,000. That was the question we asked on the survey that went out that people were supportive of. So those are all built into the operating referendum. So right now, looking at the conversation we had the other night, we look at operating referendum of maintaining class sizes, staff and academic supports, updating technology, and a market adjustment salary for staff. We could redo that at a $5.98 million referendum, just renewing the current one we have. So I've done a lot of talking, just kind of the wrap up for our community, what we've been doing. I'm gonna turn over the board to kind of have a discussion about what they would like to do when it comes to operational referendum, and then we can turn the page and look at a potential capital referendum.
So thank you for putting that together and going
Yes.
through all that, because
Yes.
it covered everything
It did,
that we've done.
yeah. And there was
Thank you guys for all your work you've done on that.
So right now, we just want to talk about operation.
Unless you want me to, again, I can go through all the capital stuff too, and then you talk about them both, but sometimes it helps to break them out a little
No, I
bit.
think just, yeah, that's fine, let's just do operational
Making
first.
a motion on the first one, and the second one.
So, we kind of discussed at these special board meetings, most of us were leaning towards the 5.98, which obviously, right now, that is what our amount is. So the amount would stay, it would have no tax increase as of now unless other things change.
Theoretically.
Yes,
I mean-
yes. I do wanna make it clear, it's just operational, so last time it was both.
There's a few small, like the IT projects are in there and things like that, but it's an operational referendum. And right, the tax impact should be negligible. Right, we can't predict exactly what it is, but the district's asking for the same amount of money it has the last 5 years, it'd be asking for the exact same amount for the next 5. So it should be tax neutral. Again, depending on all the other factors that go into your taxes.
Yeah.
People's go up and down depending on, assessments.
It's not just school stuff that goes into your taxes, so it's always hard to.
I have a question about it, and we've probably been over it, maybe I already forgot this, but for the 90%, did we have a breakdown of like how it would affect each of the groups and like how long they've been here? I can't remember. Did you do a comparison to like just starting?
So what Jason has put together and what Brent, so we've been talking about this for 4.5 years.
Yeah.
So what Brent did and then Jason now is after, they have put together a spreadsheet that has, like, looking at everybody's individually.
Okay.
And based on their year's experience, their education, and then comparing them to, and the districts we compared them to, and I thank you for asking this question, because I didn't talk about this, is we had a personnel committee, we had this discussion probably, again, 4.5 years ago. Who should we compare to? What's a fair comparison for Lodi? And we talked about, we could compare to our CISA. We can compare to our conference, or we could compare to our fence post neighbors. And the advantage of doing CISA is CISA's a bigger area, it has big schools, small schools, and it's 35 schools. But the disadvantage is we don't really compete with Stevens Point typically for teachers, right, or Adams Friendship. So it's not really in direct competition, maybe for original when we hire brand new teachers, but otherwise, people don't usually leave us to go to Stevens Point unless they're moving to Stevens Point, right? So CISA seemed like not a very good, we still look at our CISA to make sure we're competitive. Conference, kind of the same way. Some of our schools are very similar to us, some of them are smaller, but often, again, we don't often compete with new glares for teachers unless someone's moving toward that area of the state. And so it didn't seem like a really true comparison. Again, we look at it, we want to make sure we have those comparisons so they're built into the system. And what the personnel committee decided was we need to look at our fence post neighbors. We need to look at Baraboo, Poinette, Portage, Sauk, Wanakee, DeForest, and then
Columbus City.
and then 2 other schools, and then they wanted because some of those schools are much bigger than us, so they wanted to also touch base on our conference people who are the same size as us. So Lake Mills and Columbus are very similar in size to Lodi, compared to like Belleville, who's not that close. And Lake Mills and Columbus are also very similar, where they're pretty close to Madison, right? You can live in Lake Mills and within half an hour be in Madison or less, so you can live in Madison and work in Lake Mills. Lake Mills has the other side of it as well. You can live in Milwaukee, or the suburbs of Milwaukee and come. And Columbus the same way. You could live in Columbus, or live in Madison, and work in Columbus. So there's close enough that they have some of the same similarities. So we added those two in because of the same size schools. So that is our comparison base that our personnel committee decided to make it. So when we talk about comparison school districts, it's all of our fence post neighbors who kind of touch us, even over water or Portage is close to touching us, and then those two other schools. And then so we take those and look at, okay, this is an elementary teacher who has 5 years' experience, who has a master's degree, what are they making in all of these districts? And then there's enough districts that there's a couple other people there, and then you look at that average, and we put that next to ours. So what's the average? What's 95% of that average, and what's 90% to get our person to within 90? Now, there's a significant portion of our staff, we're within 90%. Some of them are at average or above, but some are below. And so the idea behind here is to get anybody who's significantly below, so below that 90%, get them up to 90%. So what would happen is Jason and I would have to meet with every single certified, this is just certified staff members. I saw this question in the survey we did, about administrators and things. This has nothing to do with administrators. We're not talking about administrators. We're talking about certified teachers, counselors, those type of staff members, therapists, and comparing them to those, and then have a meeting with them and let them know, you're at average. If we do 90%, this is what we would bump you up to. Those type of things. Does that make sense?
Yeah, would it be like an instant bump? Or is it like a slow, forever process?
No, we would have $675,000 each year, right? Because you have to be each year, because you can't, once you do it once, you have to continue it forward.
Right.
So we would look at, in the 26-27 school year, right, if the board puts this in the referendum, and then the community supports this referendum, the rest of this then coming school year, we would meet with staff, and then when we issue contracts next year, everybody would be at 90% or above.
Okay.
And then we would have to continue to go back every year and look and make sure people are at 90%, because you don't want to slide below that and then be back in the same boat. Right? We want to be able to look at that on a yearly basis. One of the questions you asked me earlier today was, I thought we talked about compensation last time and to bump people up. So last time when we did a referendum, we put increases of 3.5% in for staff, for all staff. They'd get 3.5% the first 2 years. And that was based on the last 11 years, the average CPI increase was 1.83. So that was the average increase staff got over those 11 years was 1.83.
3.5 sounded
So we saw at 3.5, if we're gonna go 3.5, we will start catching up with our neighbors. And then we went to referendum, and inflation hit. And the first year of the referendum, CPI was 4.7. And everybody's giving 4.7 raises. We had built in a 3.5. So we had to go above that. So we never caught up, because we worked in the last 11 years, and then we had inflation that hadn't happened since the late 70s, which we didn't anticipate. That's the issue when you go to a 5-year referendum, right? You're trying to, just as I talked about before, all the things we're basing these assumptions on, they're assumptions. They can change.
Thank you.
That was a great description
And that was very.
Explanation, thank you.
Oh, I can be long-winded if I need to be.
Well, and we've heard parts of this before, but it's good for everybody
No,
to
right.
hear it.
It's the same question people would have. So when
Right.
people ask that question, that's why we create those frequent, and as Heather talked about, once if the board moves ahead, we will put together sessions to talk about the referendum. We'll put together a frequent asked questions document, which continues to expand as we go through this process, because there's questions out there, and we want to make sure people are answered, and they make informed decisions. Whether they choose to vote yes or no, they're voting on the facts that they have.
You mean
And
they're not all watching us right now?
No,
Probably
there's a lot probably watching right now, or watching us later, but.
Yeah.
I think, there's, nobody as a board, as a taxpayer, likes to have to ask for money in the referendum. Unfortunately, with our state, school funding, there's no other choice. You have to go to referendum. Personally, as a taxpayer, not as a board member, as a taxpayer, when I filled out that survey, I filled out, let's just bite the bullet and do a recurring referendum moving forward for operations. As a school board member in this seat, I will respect the the survey results. Because I don't think, based on those results, we need to go with, you know, what we're looking at as a 5-year non-recurring versus the recurring, which, again, as a taxpayer, I'm okay with funding the schools. That's the way we fund our schools in this state. And I am a mom of, I can say now, 3 amazing children who had great experiences in all 4 of these schools and are great human beings and adults because of this district. I truly believe that had we, you know, we purposely moved here. We lived in Madison, and my husband and I did not want to raise our kids in Dane County or specifically the Madison School District. We started looking, we found, you know, a place in Harmony Grove, and my stepmother at the time, she worked for DPI. She was head of Future Business Leaders of America for the state, which unfortunately Lodi no longer has.
We're bringing it back.
And, oh, good, she'll be happy to hear that, that an FBLA chapter will be back. But she said, oh, that's a great school district. And that was 25 years ago. So, you know, as my kids have gone through school, and I've just seen the amazing things, you know,
And,
that the school district has provided for my family.
And I've been fortunate enough for the last almost 6 years to be on the curriculum committee. And it's, again, kudos to Vince and Dr. Nick Carls, because I graduated from here in 1972. And we weren't at those areas of high ranking in those places. We did not have a full-time curriculum director. That when we went to a full-time curricular director, even if it wasn't Dr. Nick Carls, it would have made a huge difference. But we've got a great one. So, I mean, I love saying to my classmates, it's not what it used to be. And not that we were horrible. I mean, I went through college, I got my degree, I'm fine. But it was, you know, it's not like where we're ranking now. So I think that's also part of this operational. You're not gonna do that unless you've got really great staff. And even though the administrators aren't part of this, they are who leads and everybody supports.
I've been a big proponent and very much in favor of the referendum that we have to act on, staying at 5.98 million. Unfortunately, what that means is things that I would like to see happen with a referendum can't happen because there aren't the funds to do that. My concern with what we've been discussing specifically at our last 2 meetings is that in order to keep it at 5.98 million, which again, the board is all in agreement with doing, and that's what we're gonna work towards, is right now our current referendum has over $2 million a year set aside for capital projects, and I understand we're knocking off some big expense items. But with what we're looking at doing to keep it at 5.98 million, that means more has to shift towards staff. And I'm a little bit concerned that over the 5 years of the referendum we're under, we had over $10 million for projects, and what we're looking at doing now, if we add that 400 and say account at that 150 for the IT stuff, that's about 550 a year times 5 years, and that's a little over 2.5 million.
Which is 1 year of now.
We're
Around
going from 10 million to 2.5 million, and things aren't getting any less expensive to do, and I worry if our Fund 41 is going to be able to absorb that large of a hit. But in order to do some of these other things, specifically bring people up to 90%, that's where the numbers have to be in order to stay at 5.98 million. My other concern about the bringing people up to 90% is there are staff in our district that won't see any of that money because they're at 90% or above. And it's not an inconsequential number of people. So, depending upon what the board acts on tonight, it will not benefit every staff member in the district equally, or some at all. So that's where I wrestle with what we have to do as far as the operations part. All 7 of us very strongly want to put something out there that the community can support and continue the work that's being done at the district. But it's not without some concerns, it's not without some disagreement amongst the board, and it's not without a lot of discussion. But that's where I'm at, and that's what my concern is right now about this operations going from 10 over 5 years to 2.5-ish over the next 5 years, and what that's where that could potentially put the district.
So the 5.98 million will benefit all staff in different ways though, because there's health insurance increases in there, there's staff raises in there, and
Smaller class sizes, interventions for kids.
Right.
those things.
Maybe I should be more specific.
Right.
I'm
No, you made it clear
specifically
that it
talking
was
about the
675.
90%, 675,000. None of the other.
That's true.
In order for us to keep this at 5.98, what has to take a hit if we want to do all these things is the capital projects and the capital funds account. Otherwise, it can't stay at 5.98. And I don't have the stomach to try to raise that on community and taxpayers at this time with economic concerns that everybody's living with.
Scott, I'm curious because, I mean, you raised some of this at the last 2 meetings too that we had. Like, what are you thinking about, like, as an alternative to this 90% market adjustment? Because I guess I'm unclear personally, like, what are you thinking is like a better way to go about this, or?
At our last meeting, I think our discussion mainly centered around reconsidering the 90% or having it as a second question. And that $675,000 a year, instead of going towards the 90%, going into Fund 41.
Well, is it possible to explain the Fund 41 for people that are watching this that don't really understand what?
Yeah, so Fund 41 for us is our capital projects fund. So we put money into there every year, so if a boiler goes down or something else major would happen, or one of our HVAC units on the roof would go down, we have money set aside to pay for those things. So we put money in that, and then right now our referendum money also for capital projects goes into that Fund 41, so it's a segregated account, so that's all it's used for. So we have money going in from both, like just regular operating referendum, and then now from the 2.13 that comes in every year. Scott is right, that 2.13 after next year, and we don't have anything, right now we have things designated for that money to go to. So we've knocked off, as he said, some of the really big projects like the roofs and things like that. But again, it's always concerning going down the road, not knowing what could be future issues that could happen. Again, we have fairly, I say great facilities, but like the building over here is fairly old, and our other buildings are like 30 years old, and it's like your house. When things are 30 years old, things start to wear out and break, and you have to take care of that. So that is what we have Fund 41 for. We set that money aside for those types of things.
Do we have, or do you guys have any idea how many certified staff are already at 90% or above?
What did we say the other night?
There's approximately 50%.
Yeah, that's what I thought, about 50%.
Yeah, it's a lot, Scott. That's way more than I expected to hear.
That are at 90%?
Yeah.
So it's a lot more that aren't going to get impacted, right?
She's surprised how many there are at 90%.
But back with
That's a
what,
good point you made.
what Adam said is, I mean, there's still benefit to those people that may not, that are already at 90% or above. I mean, insurance costs go up. I mean, that was a big bump in insurance, and that is not all getting, how do I want to say that? The staff are going to have to take on some of that increased cost, which then brings them even down farther, if that makes sense with, you know, what you bring in versus what you have to have taken out and all of that.
Yeah, this last year, they didn't take on significantly more in premiums, but they took on significantly more in risks, right? So they added co-pays and added deductibles, to depending on which plan you're on. The district contribution went up, but their contribution went up, but they took added risk on the back end of it for this year, for how we did it this year. That's not always an option. I want to go back to one of the things Scott said, and just to clarify for people as well. He talked about the possibility of going into operating referendum and then having a second question for staffing. And the board, I just want to make the community clear, the board can ask 2 referendum questions a year, a calendar year. So the board can do that. But if the board did that, and we had also talked that we're going to talk about a possible capital referendum, then that would go off the table for this calendar year. If both of those would pass, then the board would have to wait and do that separately. So that's the kind of discussion that we had, just so the community knows. You can't ask. At one point, when we built the primary school, there wasn't a limit on that, so there was 3 questions asked that year. There was an operating question, a new primary school question, and a new gymnasium question. 2 of those passed, the gymnasium failed, but there wasn't a limit how many you could ask. Now there's a limit to 2 per calendar year.
When did they make the limit? Like here, like a couple of years ago?
I would say, I'll be guessing. But between now and then, before our last referendum.
What's the reasoning for that, do you know?
The legislator wanted to limit the amount of times people were asking questions. Like, they just felt the taxpayers were getting asked too much, so their argument
Well, then
was that they
change
wanted
the
to limit
state
it.
funding. I mean, honestly, you know, because then
Make
if,
it easy.
and we did have discussion, if we were to do just the operational part, leave that, you know, at the 5.98, pull out the staff compensation, you know, to bring up to 90%. That's our 2 questions. Then that leaves, you know, still not much for capital projects, and then you can go back the next year and ask, you know, a capital project, well, then you know, just, this is me thinking out loud, there's gonna be a whole lot of people saying, we just gave you a whole bunch of money.
Right.
Why are you asking for more? Yes, we have taken care of some big projects in this district. And I know we're not talking about capital yet, but the survey was very clear on what areas for capital they want to see happen. We're never going to meet all the needs, but if we can't keep our schools open and operating with the staff that we have, the amazing staff that we have, which is excellent, then we don't have a school district, in my opinion.
I mean, Sarah, I feel the same as you. Like, I just think all of us could go around the table and, you know, there's all these great clubs and there's sports and all these things and classes that our kids take. But as a parent, I can, you know, for every one of my 3 kids, there's people in this room, there's people that are not in this room that have had such an amazing impact on my kids. And for me, like, it's about the people. Like, I also know the infrastructure, we can't let it all fall apart and like pretend that that's not a reality, but I mean, and that's why really when I ran to be on the school board personally, that was my thing, was like, I want to be here to support the staff, and that's my, you know, in their work in supporting kids, so.
When we get to the budget and approve the budget, you'll see the graph that shows 80% of our budget is people, right? It's where the money goes, is 80% of those. To me, we have to bring those staff up to 90%. It's mandatory.
Or we lose them? Or we don't get them?
Potential to lose them.
Well, I would like to move that the district move forward with a 5-year, $5.98 million non-reoccurring referendum that maintains and supports instructional and extracurricular program and support, sets aside $151,000 for IT projects, and includes a 90% market adjustments for certified staff and increased compensation for support staff.
I would second that motion.
Motion by Terry, second by Sarah Ramish. Any more discussion? I think we've all made some good points. I hope the community realizes we had way more discussion and lengthy discussion, and I'm sorry for you guys sitting through even this one. But this is extremely important to us, and we really are trying to look through all eyes and aspects.
And there was a lot of discussion in our last 2 meetings specifically on this. I mean,
yes.
So I don't want people that are watching to think it just, boy,
Yeah.
we sure didn't talk about it much.
No, we
We
had
did
2
hours
special
on
board
it,
meetings
a couple
on
times,
this,
so, yeah.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You want a roll call?
I think so.
Okay. You can, we
I
can
think
do
for
it.
something like this,
Oh,
it
sure.
warrants a roll call vote.
Okay.
Yeah.
Start with you.
Yes.
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 Yes. And I say yes. So motion passes 7-0 for our operational referendum.
So what'll happen is we will bring back like ballot language to formally approve like the ballot language at the next board meeting.
So is this,
Always so confusing.
is this just,
Yeah, that's it.
Kinda
So we
just
will, yeah, this is
okay.
a sample, so you can look at that,
Sample,
and if there's
okay.
anything, feedback you want to give me after the meeting.
yeah.
But then we will bring back something in July for the formal legal, like proving the ballot question. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Next. Capital.
The other part.
Capital, right, so, we've talked about a lot of the same stuff, right, and just the background, but again, just a reminder, I had this on a slide earlier. Community survey results, support for it, there is support for a $15 million building referendum, it's above 50%, but it's within margin of error. But that support grows for outside the margin of error for a smaller building or project referendum, so it grows as you get farther away from 15 million. And the highest priority building projects among all 3 key groups was career and technical education in the survey.
And the key groups again were staff,
Staff, parents, and then
community,
non-parents, non-staff.
the community, non-parents.
Yep, and all that was weighted based
Yep.
on their, again, so staff would have had to be in the district
Mhm.
for them to be counted. But it comes down to parents and then non-parents, and 75% of our community members don't have kids in school. So that was weighted to 75% through the survey, given much more weight than our parents were given. And that's where that ended up. And the survey results, just for, again, I referenced a lot of these documents, they're in our board docs. So all that survey results are in there, evaluability, the strategic planning process, all those things are there for the community to look at. The other thing was looking at guiding principles for facility and green space planning. The board put this together a couple of years ago. Key consideration, look at ADA compliance in Title IX, focus on future student needs, in academics, career prep, and extracurricular. Consider multi-use spaces for maximum efficiency. Poll community members and students to assess facility and program priorities. Weigh short-term versus long-term cost and maintenance impact. Maximize our value for our taxpayers and funding options. Facility priorities. Address safety, modernization, expansion needs in academic spaces, ag, tech, business, CTE, performing arts, and athletics. Evaluate high school pool needs, renovation, replacement, or removal. Consider capital projects that enhance learning environments and ensure updated support evolving educational and workforce trends. And then green space priorities, consider bringing all sports back to the school facilities. Address spectator and parking challenges, improve Highway 60 field and other key areas. Ensure year-round access for students and community, provide equitable opportunities for sports and non-sport activities. So that was the guiding principles that the board put together. So when we had the community viability team, one of the things that was in the survey is they ordered the different areas that we were looking at. We had 4 buckets. We had career and technical education, we had indoor athletics, our performing arts center, and our outdoor athletics. And this was the order of priority that our community viability team put them in after studying this for nearly 6 months. And they rated, within each of these areas, they rated one of the areas the highest. So like in the career and technical education spaces, there's a couple things you could touch, but once you kind of touched like the metal shop, you had to touch everything, right? Just the dominoes fell. So they felt like that entire project had to be done. There was no piecemealing that. Indoor athletics, their primary was doing something with the pool. Not putting a new pool in, but remodeling the pool. The Performing Arts Center, their priority was in-house items. We talked about a possible expansion, but like lights, sound, stuff that matters in the house. In the outdoor athletics, the career CBT did not prioritize those areas.
Vince, can you be clear a little bit about CTE is knocking down walls and reconfiguring the spaces within the building and?
Yeah, so.
It's a major renovation.
Yeah, career and technical education would be in the ag room, knocking down, there's a small room behind Mr. Anderson's room right now, which is kind of like a storage space. It would knock that wall out and provide because his classroom is really cramped if you've been in there. And so it's small, it would give more room, it would give some lab stations and running water in there so we could do labs a little bit better. In Jamie Lick's area, one of the things we have right now is we have our woods and our metal shop are in the same shop, which causes some issues, and we don't have enough space. So for example, Mr. Lick would like to offer welding and have it dual credited with METC. We don't have enough welding stations to do that.
And they're teeny tiny.
And I was just gonna mention, it's really
it's
hard to even teach welding in there because
like this.
there's not enough space for two people to be in the booth. So we talked about expanding that area, making a dedicated woods area, making a dedicated metals area, a dedicated fabrication area. Because right now the fabrication, a lot of that equipment is in the classroom. And so when that's running, it's really hard to hear in there. And then moving his classroom into a different area, and into a different classroom, because then we would take his classroom and turn it into lab spaces. And then also increase the visibility. If you go down there, it is just like black walls and you can't see in. But you go to the art room, right, you're right next to it. The art room is windows, you can see kids working, and you see the art project, and you don't see it in career and technical education. We need to like brighten that up and let people see the cool things that are being done by our plan, and also update some of the things that are being done. There's some things that we can't do
to me,
because of the space.
Sorry to interrupt, but the thing that really struck me with, because I know facilities, Scott and Adam and I can't remember if all of us toured at one point, but the tech ed area, I mean, it comes down to safety, honestly. I mean, to me.
Well, it's nice when the teachers can see through to different spaces and.
And it's a growing area of need,
Yeah.
right? If you go back to our strategic plan, it is the last two. Like we did the strategic plan in 2021, career and technical education was a huge piece of that. If you go back to this one, career and technical education is a huge piece of that as well. Looking at people who are going to work in the trades and those types of things.
Or business.
And business, right, and other things. And have some piece of that.
Agriculture.
Well, and we always talk about kids having just skills to live life.
Yep.
Well, I don't care where you go out to college or whatever else. I mean, I've got a couple of kids that through this learned just regular skills that help them with their house, with their, you know. So it's for jobs, but it's also for living.
Right.
Does that include, so the CTE, the entire project, does that include equipment?
Yes.
Okay, so that would include the welders and maybe like milling machines or?
Yep, I believe if you look at that sample question, it talks about like acquisition of furnishing, fixtures, and equipment. It may not be in there, but in the sample question.
Do we have a list of those anywhere?
I don't off the top of my head right here. I don't.
Somewhere we do though.
Not a list of all of them, but we would work with our consultants and that people we're working with through our architect, right? And when we designed it, right, and making sure we designed the space, we've looked at space design, but we haven't like gone down to the nitty-gritty until we get to that point.
Thanks.
I should say, I believe in there, it also would potentially trigger for us the ability to apply for a DWD grant as a match.
Yep.
for equipment.
Yep, absolutely, we would.
And then the pool, before you go. So anyone who's been in the pool recently, I'm sorry, it's not pretty anymore, it's not.
Well, and there's lights that they can't even get to.
Right, can't change
That
the
need
bulbs.
fixing. And sorry, some areas are just gross. I'm in healthcare, so I'm a bit of a germaphobe.
It's time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so pool has areas, we can keep going on the list, like Performing Arts Center, right, we have lights, we borrow $100,000 worth of lights from ETC. That is not limited access, that may, at some point, will go away. So when you go to our musicals and the Sing and Swing, you see that, we have people who come and donate their time and hang those lights and those types of things.
What did you say, we had like for a couple of years now?
Yeah, it's a couple more years, but at some point that may go away. And then, you know, and again, looking at our athletics, looking at our, the other areas we looked at were locker rooms, like how small the lockers are. Looked at a fitness center, a wrestling room, was one of the things that were really looked at as well. From the Arts Center, we looked at more green room space for kids, for again, safety and for being able to observe kids and supervise them correctly.
Storage.
Yeah, and then outdoor athletics, we looked at multiple. We looked at tennis courts that need some work. We looked at the possibility of creating some practice fields up at the primary school, because we always need practice fields, and there's land at the primary school we don't really utilize a lot, but if we flatten it out, we could, but that would come at a cost, but it's cheaper than us going out and buying land, and if you find Lodi land in Lodi, typically it's either flat and wet, or it's hilly. Sometimes it's hilly, we have some of that too. You go to our girls softball field, it's a hill and flat. So, and then the possibility of bringing baseball back in town. We have varsity baseball plays in Dane, we have a nice facility out there, but bringing that back into town so it's on school facilities as well. So those are the things we kind of looked at as a whole. In all those areas, and their career, or the community viability team, the facility finance committee has been looking at that for, again, 3, 4, 5 years. Community viability team dug into it, fresh set of eyes for 6 months, and then came back with some recommendations. And this is the order of recommendations that they came with. We did a very similar. We had the board do an activity where they rated them as well at our May 27th meeting. And again, it's kind of a dot activity, that's why the numbers are there, but our CTE was by far the most highest priority for the board. Pool was number 2, locker rooms 3, practice fields 4, baseball was 5, and PAC was last. And then just the one thing I want to say about the Performing Arts Center, the board did talk a lot about the Performing Arts Center and the needs in there, but there's also was a $2 million donation given by the Wopats for the Performing Arts Center. And the feeling was to use that money versus going to referendum, to take that money and to make the repairs that are needed, because that money is already there, versus going out to referendum asking. So that is why I would think that is one of the lower rated areas.
And I think it helps to say, you know, oh, locker rooms. The lockers in the locker rooms are about the size of my laptop. Vince, Scott, your shoes probably would not fit in those lockers. I mean, they're teeny tiny.
And then when you add, which we do use the pool for,
Yeah.
like, for every single gym class, except for like maybe 1 or 2, right? You have to have a swimming unit, and then you try to fit your regular gym clothes and your tennis shoes in there. And then you have to put a towel in there and a wet swimsuit, and you're like, ooh.
Yeah.
It's not as fun as you would imagine.
Would we have you here to tell us?
I appreciate you painting that picture.
It's
Yeah.
You're the
And
one
it's
living it.
without the
Out of everybody in
smell.
this room,
Yeah.
you're the one who's living it
Right.
most. Some of us, other of us use the pool one, but we don't use the other locker rooms at all.
And it's not just the lockers themselves. I mean, there's other issues when we toured that. I mean, there's other issues in those locker rooms that.
Yeah, and again, the board's looking at, you know, fixing up the locker room, like remodeling the locker room. It's not like putting in, the Packer locker room or the Bears
Correct.
locker room or
It's-
whatever locker room you wanna look at. It's putting in just fixing. Remember Blue Devil
Fixing.
locker room that's responsible.
Yeah, more usable. Better used.
The other thing the board looked at was the impact of taxes, right? So, the board, we worked with Bayer to come up with how will these different areas impact our school taxes, and the board has this, at their, right next to them. It's also, they've also seen it before. And what Bayer did was look at different levels. They looked at a $100,000 property, and we know most people, there's not too many $100,000 properties anywhere. It's just really good for math, right? You can then multiply up to what your property level is. They have 100,000, 250, $500,000 property, and $750,000 property, and the impact. So if you look at a $6 million capital referendum, at $100,000, it would cost $21, a taxpayer $21 a year. At a $500,000 property, it costs $105 a year. If you jump up to a $10 million referendum, it would be $33 a year per $100,000 of property, so you go up to $500,000, it'd be $165 a year. Again, and this is over the next 20 years. If you went up to $14 million, it'd be $45 per 100,000, or if you're a $500,000, $225 per year.
And didn't the CVT team, when they presented, come back, wasn't it like 33 or 35 million? And that wasn't even everything.
Well, yeah, start 54.
What is it, like 54?
Yeah.
Like was the total, so, I mean,
Narrowed down to 30.
yeah. They narrowed it down and
They narrowed it
again,
down
it
to
wasn't
30.
everything.
33, and they knew that even 33 would probably be a lot, so they, that's why they prioritized things in the order they did. And wanted the survey staff, because they didn't want to be the ones who made the decision. They wanted to prioritize it and then give it to the community in the form of that survey to help provide that information back.
Right.
So again, the board has taken a lot of time looking at, again, this was also shared when we did the survey. Survey asked higher tax numbers and then had the tax impact from Baird as well. So this was done by an independent third party, Baird Financial, who does this kind of work for district. So the board reviewed 6 options, really, and they looked at different variations of these options, so you can have these conversations again today, but they've looked at all these different options amongst the variations. And so number one was don't do anything, right? Kind of like at your house, you can kind of wait and see. If we wait till the primary school debt falls off in 2033, which will be after the next operating referendum, the operational referendum passes, you can use some fund balance to fix but not replace tennis courts, and slowly try to make some renovations with the pool. And then again, we talked about using the WOPAT money to upgrade portions of the Performing Arts Center, because that's what it was donated for. You could look at a CTE and pool option, right? You can break these out even smaller, but career and technical education and pool option, which would be a $6.6 million referendum. CTE pool locker room option, which again just adds locker rooms onto the bottom of that, which moves that from a 6.6 to an $8.1 million referendum.
And for clarification, it's the FIAD lockers and the pool lockers, not the student lockers that are out in the common area.
Right, it's locker rooms.
The locker
athletics,
rooms.
and
Yeah,
pool,
not just the
not
lockers, but those locker rooms.
Thank you. CTE, pool, locker rooms, practice fields. So again, the first 3 we just got done talking about, and then adding 2 like practice fields in the primary school, not game fields, but just flattening out some of the land up there that we already have, so kids can play soccer or football or have practices up there, or other events as well. But it's not like game fields, it's just adding some flat spaces, and land we already own.
Like at the top of the hill, behind the middle school.
Flatten it, yep. And then it's kind of added on. So then it's adding a baseball diamond to that, which moves it up to a $13.2 million referendum. Then we also talked at one point about like offsetting some of the PAC money, like having some PAC money from a referendum, using some of that WOPAT money, and then setting some of that WOPAT money aside to pay for like seats and carpeting 5 to 7 years from now, because the auditorium is going to need that, and not spending all that $2 million there, like getting some like having some leftovers so we can continue to deal with things in the auditorium while we do. So that was a discussion we had as well. Ultimately, as we discussed, this was the last kind of area we landed on a little bit. But I know there's gonna be more discussion about that, but that's kind of where the board, as they talked and went through. And that's why I had the earlier note too about the PAC update, just I wanted to make sure people were aware or watching this, to see that that's why the PAC was rated lower by the board. So, discussion, and you have all those right in a sheet of paper in front of you as well.
So, I have to use the restroom.
Let's take a 5-minute recess.
Okay.
5 minutes.
I told you 5 minutes.
5-minute recess?
Sure.
Well, I'm gonna pee out too, if you talk about it, then.
There's only 2.
Well, hurry it up.
Wait.
Again? So, when we had our meetings, I would think the main discussion, I would think people would agree with me, would be the 9.1 and the 13.2. And I think we're all in agreement, but I kind of basically said at the end of the meeting, I don't wanna vote about this, I wanna sit on it for the weekend, because we did this last Monday, so we had a week. And I don't know about you guys, I've been thinking about it nonstop, because obviously our survey results said that 50% would support 15. Now, obviously, that's only of who answered the surveys. That can change with a whole community voting. But I also feel that that's a pretty good baseline, considering where we started at 54 million and got them, and then kind of got down to 33. So we're already eliminating a lot. And I looked at these guiding principles a lot. So obviously, and as we know, we always want to give as many opportunities to all the kids as possible. So I'm going to all these graduation parties, and I'm seeing all the pictures that are up in those garages. And a lot of those pictures are activity pictures.
Always.
There's some classroom pictures,
They're always activity.
but it's the activity pictures, and that's where these kids are making the connections. That's where they're learning so many life skills. And I just started thinking, and I'm like, okay, we have a great facility in Dane. It's awesome. But I'm also thinking of the whole community. We have heard from numerous community members that our sports teams need more practice fields. So, obviously, the 9.1 has practice fields at the primary school. We would gain 2, I believe, correct? Which is awesome. But I'm also.
Are they baseball or t-ball or no?
No,
just
they would be soccer.
and
It's
football?
soccer, yeah.
Flat,
Okay.
just flat
Just
spaces.
And soccer's been very vocal that they are really limited on space. And I coached way back in the day. And I know that field availability is really hard to get. And you had to like race down back in the day before the online stuff. You had to race down and sign up, and it was stressful. And we just got back home talent in this community, home talent baseball, which I think is awesome. I just feel like it might be good to have, so considering we have home talent, we need more practice fields, we wanna get these kids involved out in the community. And I feel like I'm really hoping that our community would support the 13.2. We would, that field in Dane would be able to host home talent and not have nearly as many conflicts from our youth teams and our high school team, which I know high school and youth talent really doesn't probably affect too much, because home talent is more summer. And I just feel like we aren't losing anything. It's not like we're replacing something and like, oh yeah, we got a new field, but we lost our old one. We aren't. We are literally getting a new baseball field, and we still have the Dane one. And then we'll obviously have these practice fields too. And I'm like, that is covering so many kids in our community. And I just, like I said, with home talent coming back, and this is not gonna get any cheaper. Yeah, I know the price tag is scary. $4 million for a baseball field, that seems insane. But there's so much more that goes into it. Obviously, us board members have heard all of it. It's not just throwing some dirt and putting some lines out there. There's a lot. And we've heard from some parents, obviously all of us have. In my experience, even alumni that come back and say, you guys don't play in Lodi, which isn't a horrible thing. Yes, it's Dane, it's still part of us. But I feel like it might be time, and I think it'd be awesome if we did this and we got it approved and our baseball field is in Lodi and kids aren't driving to Dane. They're just going across the street or just to the elementary school for JV baseball. I think it'd be cool to have 1 or 2 games still in Dane and be it like a special night out there too. So that's just my thoughts. I kept going back and forth, and I thought, I just feel like 9.1, I'm not saying 9.1 to 50 million. We're saying 9.1 to 13. And we are getting a lot for these kids. And I think activities and sports in school, I know to my kids was so beneficial. And I just think we need to make sure, obviously, the operational referendum is huge. And that's why I was like, okay, we need to keep that too, because that needs to pass too. But that's just my thoughts. I wanna hear from everybody else, but I have never seen my alarm clock so many times at night this week, because I just kept waking up and then that would be my first thought all the time. But that's just, I kept going back to, like I said, I really went back to our guiding principles, and I just feel like that baseball diamond would actually hit a lot of these spots.
So let me add something to that. So I feel we need a yes vote on this capital referendum, because we can't put the pool off any longer, and we need to remodel those CTE spaces. This survey was filled out in the spring, and the economy has gone down since the spring. We're not voting on this till November, and we don't know what's gonna happen between now and November. And so I just feel it's better to go with something much safer at 9.1 than 13.
I would piggyback off of Adam and say, yes, I agree with that. I'm not discounting. I do think baseball needs to come back to Lodi. That then, with where it would go, would eliminate a practice field. Yes, we would gain 2, but we lose 1. There's a parking issue, potentially, not saying it would be, with baseball there, because there's not the parking. And I don't think that includes the parking, that does not include the parking. I also think there is a safety issue about kids driving out to Dane. It would be nice to have it back and close to the high school. However, I kind of agree with Adam that, you know, if we get close to that 15 million, which 13 is closer than 9, within that margin of error that the survey results gave us, and it gets voted down, we lose CTE, pool, locker room, and practice fields. We lose everything. On the flip side, there are gonna be people, I think we've all talked about it, that will not support it no matter if it's $1 of a
But that's why we did the survey. The
Yeah.
survey said there are
Right.
people who won't
Right.
support it.
Right, so,
I would argue that we can ask 2 questions a year, and nothing is lost forever. If we ask for what everybody on the board wants, and it gets voted down, that simply means that the community didn't want to support this, but it doesn't mean that we can't reshuffle it and go back and ask another question in the spring. So I would say, I don't think it's lost forever. What's lost forever is if you don't ask about the baseball diamond now. Then I believe that is lost forever. And I wasn't on the board when they asked about the field house years ago. But part of the reason that we're not asking about wrestling room and gymnasium is because of the astronomical cost increase. So it's expensive, but it's never going to be less expensive than it is now, more than likely. I don't have a crystal ball to look in the future. I can simply look at what has happened in the past.
So,
go ahead.
I can say I have talked to a few people and had got some negative feedback about moving from Dane, because of the cost and because the facilities that they have there are still going to be better than what we're going to put here for $4 million. But I do agree with you, Scott, if we don't ask, we're not gonna know. And we can come back, and the CTE is highly supported, and the pool is a must. We can come back in a year and ask for those, which our referendum right now still is going for a year. That's my thought process.
But if we ask it'd be great if it passes. I'm, as you know, usually the Debbie Downer of the group, and we'll say, what if it doesn't pass? Like I had said before, then you go back in the spring or even in the fall and ask again. I think, even if it's for less, I think that's,
You have to wait a whole year.
no,
Calendar year.
it's calendar
Calendar
year.
year, we'll go in April.
We could ask in
We can ask in
April,
November, and if it fails, we can ask in April.
and there's gonna be people like, you just asked that, and it's gonna be a no, and now it's gonna be a bigger no. That's my concern.
My concern is.
I want something to pass.
I know, but I also feel like if people are willing to say yes to 9 million, I feel like they would be willing to say yes to 13. The people that are gonna say no, I could be wrong, this is just my thought. I feel like they would have said no to 9.
Again, that was in
And-
the spring, and I think it's, our yes votes are going down every day. That's my opinion. So by the time we get to November,
I just think that, like, we're gonna have like, oh, do you wanna go around?
No, you go.
Like, I'm concerned about voter fatigue by asking too many times, and, as I mentioned at the last meeting, like, I, similar to Sarah, you know, I filled the form out myself when I did the survey, and I was like all in. If it was just me as a parent, I would love to go all in for everything. But when I think about the economy, if this had been 2 years ago or 3 years ago, I think people, maybe there'd be more palatable and people financially could make it work. But I just think we have to be conservative about what we're asking for. And I really am concerned about like, if we ask for too much, people say no, you know, the pool is like completely on its last legs. We have like some really important things that are just not gonna get fixed, and so.
We're
that's
not
kinda-
picking the numbers out of thin air. A lot of what we base our decisions on for our operations referendum was based off of survey results. And we can go to survey results, and at $2 million more than the highest number we're talking about now, it was margin of error. We're still talking about less based on the survey results, based on the data we have, than what basically the survey said would be supported and would likely succeed.
So I think it's good for each of us to speak to this. I want to speak to it more like Sarah did. I want this for the CVT and the things we need to pass the first time. CT. The other thing is, again, I mean, as far as I know, you were at more graduation parties, I'm sure. But what I got from 2 emails is that, you know, the stuff that, the complaints about Dane could be fixed pretty darn easily if we knew it was an issue. And I don't think it means that you can't ask. I mean, I think that the next referendum, we could be in a position to ask beautifully for a baseball diamond because some of these other things have been taken care of. So I can't, I'm more on the 9.1 just because when you looked at that margin of error, 50% of the people we surveyed, we didn't survey a whole, they didn't all respond. So the people at 15%, it just kept going down. And it looked pretty palatable at 10, which 9.1 is right there. And you don't get a parking lot, like Sarah said, you don't get you get dugouts, you don't get a concession stand with bathrooms in it, and you don't have those things, which.
But you did see that one of the complaints, the dugouts are not completely as great as everyone thinks in Dane. I'm not complaining about Dane.
Right, but I mean, it's something that those kind of things maybe could be worked on for less than $4 million.
There were email responses where parents talked about what can we do to help fundraise. Let us know. They can't fundraise $4 million for a diamond, but they may be able to fundraise a significant amount of money for a concession stand for a ball diamond.
Could they fundraise to fix some of the dance?
or roofs on the dugouts.
That we could handle.
I'm sorry, what?
Or roofs on the dugouts.
We
and
don't, that's not the school district's ballpark.
I agree, but
For us to invest money in things like that, it's, we don't own it.
So I would also say, and I know we talked about this at our meetings, the CTE, the pool, the locker rooms, that is used by how many students and community members versus a baseball diamond for how many students? I'm just, again, stating.
It's not just high school students either. We come to meetings here on off nights, and the streets are lined with cars because there's Little League over at the baseball diamond.
I know.
It would move, it would use the nicer diamond.
But they've got one over here to plan.
But the high school doesn't have a high school ball diamond in Lodi, that has a JV diamond.
Right.
My
But Little
point
League can
is,
play
to
over there.
Sarah, is that a lot of people in the community use a diamond beyond just the kids in high school that are out for the sport.
I've not been to Dane for a little while, I can't remember, there's not a parking lot, right, it's just off,
Oh, yeah.
it's street
No,
parking?
there's parking on both
No,
sides.
there is street parking, there are
Like
some
this.
that you can pull into, but a lot of people don't park there because the foul ball can hit their car. So people are walking as far,
Kinda like over here.
potentially, and
It strategically
is.
parked.
And that's why that new diamond, we
Almost
said that the
Eight
primary
hundred both
school
sides.
Would probably be a parking lot for games, but it's not like it would be a parking lot for the field. So,
So the field doesn't, I just wanna, one thing I'd like to say is like, what's included, what's not included when we think of a baseball field?
yeah.
So the $4 million, it's a new 300, my glasses on, sorry. 360-foot baseball field, amended soil, flat panel under drain and irrigation, outfield and sideline fencing, a 40-foot net backstop, masonry dugouts, dirt bullpens, and then a concrete plaza with bleachers on, so concrete pad for bleachers, and then a scoreboard. That's what's included. So as we talk about like concessions,
There certainly
lights and
aren't
those type of
there's no
things
bathrooms nearby
or
that
bathrooms,
need
right?
long walk.
Which our
If
track,
there's
which
lights,
our,
we'd have to
our
put
track
lights in
doesn't have
softball.
lights or concessions either,
No.
unfortunately.
So that's what Scott talked about, that's something that, if you put a diamond
they
in,
do
then
have
you
that in
can
Dane.
fundraise for some of those things. You can't, probably not gonna be able to fundraise for an entire diamond, but
No.
Yeah.
some of those amenities you might be able to.
I do wanna mention all this talk about it, everything else, and I know you put it up there, but I wanna make it clear that the PAC, the reason we are not discussing that is we were figuring on using the WOPAT money for that. That was a gracious donation. So I don't want PAC to think that we were forgetting them in any mean. I know you
No.
put it up there, but I just wanna make that clear, cause that was huge for us too, but then we figured, let's use that money where WOPAT family asked to be used, so.
So would I be correct in trying to calculate this? So the difference between the 9.1 and the 14.1 million would be about $75 a year on a $500,000 property?
Are we talking about 14.1 or you want the 13.2?
Oh, I'm looking at what's on here. So the 13.2, so it's even less than that.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
On a $500,000 property, the difference would be $30. Well, about, because we have 10 million on here and 12 million on our there.
Yeah, I was looking at
So
that.
it's
I was
about.
So it's gonna be about 40.
Trying to be fancy and
I
actually
think
put
the
yeah.
easiest way to do it is to look at the $10 million number and then look at the $14 million number. It's roughly $4 million difference. That's roughly what the difference.
$8 per
Would-
million, per
would-
100,000, so 8
Oh, yeah,
times
that
5.
makes sense.
So-
That makes
Yeah.
better sense actually than what I was doing.
So it comes to
It's
what?
$40 difference.
$12.
The mill rate goes up
33
about
to
6 cents
45, it's $12
every
per
$2
$100,000.
million.
Difference, not total cost, difference.
Yeah, at the $100,000
Right.
rate,
Right, right.
which is $1,
Per 100,000.
which is $1 a month
So if you're at
at 100,000.
13 million, your mill rate would be, instead of 0.39, it'd probably be 0.42. Right, so it'd be $42 per 100,000 for 13 million. rough math.
I mean, it's not much, but I think it's again the public's perception. If you are selling something for, hey, you could get that cup of coffee for $5.99, or you could pay $7.99, like it's $2, but it sounds, it's like, what do you think is the value of something? Even though I agree
Well,
that it's an
And I know
important
the
thing.
people that have been pro, bring it back to Lodi, and there's reasons for it. There's a lot of things that we could fix to make Dane better that doesn't have to cost a lot. And I do know people who also are very proud that that is in Dane and that baseball comes to Dane.
Well, that's what I'm saying though, they'd have home talent, and I would love that if our, team still would use that one. I think it'd be kinda neat to have it like be different, oh, we're gonna play at Dane, for the 2 or 3
The one thing
games or
that we
something.
can't fix in Dane is we can't fix the commute that we ask our students to take
We
to
have
go
to
to
have a
practice
bus,
on the
but then they
diamond.
wouldn't take it anyway, they'd wanna drive. Right, but not.
We can't, what can't you change in real estate? Location, location, location. We can't change the location. We can do all the improvements that have been talked about to a diamond that we don't own, but we can't change where it's at. We can't change where the high school kids have to go to practice, which was some of the things that were voiced by some of the parents that sent us emails.
Well, what about people that live in like Harmony Grove that go home after school and drive back to Lodi for practice? I mean, there's still, people are.
They'd have to
But
drive
that's-
farther from Dane.
I mean, that's.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just
that's-
saying that
that's
people are
different.
like
That's-
But if you live
driving
in Dane,
around.
it's right there.
That's,
No, I know, I'm saying if you live in Grove. No, I get it, and I
Is
think
there
it's
a
been
way
awesome.
we
Or
can-
town of Decorah, or town of Arlington.
Right, I mean,
Vienna, Roxbury.
Yeah.
I mean, we pull from so many areas.
Is there a way that we can do a survey or get input specifically on this?
Not that.
Specifically
not as-
on the baseball field?
From our community?
Yeah.
Not as quickly as
Not
we need it.
between now and us having to make this decision.
I have a question that may or may not be very impractical, because I
Please.
am only very not knowledgeable about any of this. But
You're a student, so
Yeah,
I'd love
Go
to hear
for
it.
it. Value
I'm not, this doesn't apply to me though.
Okay.
But if you did the 9.1 referendum and you're talking about going back in April and asking more questions, could the baseball diamond be another question?
I see what you're saying.
Instead of front loading it all, can you do the more, as we say, reliable option first? Get that stuff that you want to be done first,
You're so smart.
and then you can ask them. And that's the way to do your survey, is like, hey, here you go, do you want to do it? Because it's a separate question. It doesn't have to be tied in with all of these other ones, it's do you want it or do you not?
yes, the
that's a
board
great
can, the
point.
board can do something like that if they chose to do something like that. Answers, yeah?
Vince, is it just hypothetical? Is it 2 questions a year, so we could ask 2 in the spring, or 1 in the spring, 1 in the fall next year? That's what it is, just 2 per
Right.
calendar year.
So the other part you just have to be concerned about is voter fatigue, right?
Right.
Walking in, asking for, it feels like, we had this conversation earlier, like talking about, and maybe not this meeting, but another one, like, we did, like when we did the stadium fundraiser, and then we turned around and did a referendum, and then there was the track came up, we had to cut some stuff back in the track, and there was some talk about doing a fundraiser. Like, we can't keep going back and asking, putting your hand out and asking. So by asking, that means like if you ask 2 questions in the fall, and then not knowing that you're gonna go back in the spring, as a taxpayers could do it one of 2 ways, right? Taxpayer could say, right, this is the priority, and then they're asking for the additional question. The other one would be like, just ask me, like, up front, because it feels like a bait and switch a little bit, that you're asking me this little bit, and now you're coming back and doing it again. And going to referendum's a big deal, right? It takes a lot of energy on the part of the board, a lot of energy on the part of the district and the part of the community as well.
I mean,
I want something that's palatable and is going to pass.
I mean, the thing about it too is that I feel like if we did 13.2, and then we decided, and it didn't pass, and we decided to go back in April, I'm pretty sure that the most vocal, at least, has been talk about the baseball field. Obviously, we've heard about everything else, but I mean, I think the baseball field is probably where majority, from my experience, that's
Is
what's.
the majority of what?
Is like, that's what's talked about the most. I think the other things people
By
kind of,
us.
like, by us and the community, I feel like. Because when people keep hearing referendum, that's what I'm hearing is about the baseball field. Are you gonna do it or you're not? You're gonna do it or you're not? I'm not hearing about.
I haven't heard one single word about the baseball field.
No,
this
until
was
I
my
started
first time.
asking people, I never heard a thing
Are you
about it
serious?
either.
I'm serious, not a thing.
Oh, I have heard a lot.
But
But
you
I'm not
have kids
hearing
that play
anything about
sports.
CTE and pool and locker rooms because I have a feeling people are like, well, yeah, that's. I think the baseball field is where people are like, you know,
Right.
that.
Maybe they
So
won't,
what I
maybe they
feel
will.
like is if we went, and let's say we did the 13.2, it didn't pass, and we came back in April and said, okay, we took the
That's
baseball
where I'm afraid
field
that
off.
when you
That's
talk
where-
about that voter fatigue, you just shot yourself
That's
in
what
the
I'm
foot.
afraid of, is
Me
then
too.
they'll say no to that one too, and
I
then we're
don't,
out.
I don't see that though. I see that the main problem would be the baseball field, would be in my opinion. That's all I'm saying. It's just my opinion.
I would also say that's the more typical route, right? The typical route is to ask, and then if it doesn't pass, then to go back with something cheaper.
hope
for
Versus
that.
ask something smaller, then come back with another question the following year. I think that would be seen as highly, not that we go to referendum now, but it would be in the state pretty highly unusual to do something like that, like to ask a referendum, a capital referendum in the fall, and then come back in the following spring and ask a second capital referendum. Unless the first one failed, and then you're shrinking it down.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
I'm
okay,
agreeing
okay.
with you. Like, I'm
Yeah,
saying,
because
like,
I just,
it would
and
be-
obviously, Emily, that was a great point to bring up. And you could tell we were all like, but I also
That would be
feel.
like doing a survey.
But see, I feel like that would be
Specific way.
more voter fatigue than what I'm suggesting. If we say, oh, our capital referendum passed 9.1, now let's go back and ask about the baseball field. As
I think that
opposed
would be
to,
trouble.
let's ask for it, and if they're like, no, that's too much, okay, then we're gonna go back, and I would hope they would say, okay, you know what, they cut it.
That's the big word right there, hope. You hope they do.
Well, I
What
hope
if they
for
don't?
everything.
Well, I know, I would be, I mean, as a taxpayer, on the survey, I marked the highest one. I'm okay with that. But what happens if it doesn't? Then we're out any of these projects.
And also,
And you've also got a tennis court that needs
yeah,
some work.
And we
You guys
had
are-
a
you guys are
team
talking
of
about this
people
other
that
like it's a
we
guaranteed
asked.
pass. There's nothing guaranteed about the lesser amount. I mean, that's how
We
it's
had-
coming
True,
across.
I will give you that. True.
How about in an effort to just kind of move this along, I'm gonna throw something out there and we will do something with it. And whatever we do, we do. Move that the district move forward with a $13.2 million capital referendum that includes remodeling the career and technical education spaces at the high school, a remodel of the indoor pool at the high school, a remodel of the high school physical education, athletic, and pool locker rooms, and creates 2 new practice fields to be used for soccer, football, or other activities on the primary school, as well as a baseball field.
Did you say 13.3, Scott?
It's at 13.2.
13.2, thank you.
I will second that. Motion by Scott, second by Heather. Any more discussion?
yeah, what I was gonna say a minute ago is, I just don't think we're discussing I know it's not apples to apples, is what I was gonna say. Neighboring communities' referendums recently, but many of them failed. And I know that they're all asking for different amounts and there's different things included, but I just like that's sort of taking a pulse of, they've already taken the pulse for us of what people are willing to spend or what they can afford maybe. Not what they want, maybe it's more it's the wants versus needs and what you can afford right now, so.
Vince, can you speak to that? Were those more operations that failed or were those capital?
So there was a couple, right? So Portage failed their operational referendum this year, but they passed the capital a few years ago. And then, so they had a recurring, their referendum was for the same amount, I believe, as had been passed, but it failed.
SOC had an operational and a capital. They had a much bigger capital referendum, like 71 million, I think it was. And they had a smaller operational referendum than IRS, and they both failed. The operational by, I want to say 40 votes, 40 or 50 votes. Baraboo had a capital referendum that failed. Reedsburg passed their operational referendum, but we kind of, it was an outlier in the state. Like there's pieces where like 61% of referendums passed this past spring, but there's like this little loop right by the Wisconsin River, us, like those three districts next to each other, like all three of them failing and going down, was a little. So I think one of the things that we talked about a little bit was like just being careful of that capital fatigue. Like if you do a capital referendum, it sometimes can impact your operational referendums in the future. Maybe not this operational referendum, but 5 years from now, when the board will have to go back. How does that impact, right? Because again, your community has to support it, and our community's been great at supporting things. But we've also been trying to be very diligent about that.
Can I say something?
Did I speak to that? Is what you were asking? Did I answer? Okay.
Thank you. I also wanted to mention that our team, our viability team, spent 6 months on this, and they did not have the ball field as anything way up. They had the other things necessary. And again, I'm not saying I'm against it forever. I'm against it right now because I think it is a want versus a need. Because I think there's a lot of things we could do within our budgets to help some of these things that are an issue. It obviously doesn't, even if we gave them a bus to go back and forth, we know most kids would drive themselves anyway, because that's what they do.
I sat on the CBT team, I was there for discussions.
Yeah, and
it was discussed. And there were people in favor, just like the community. There'll be people in favor, and there'll be people that aren't in favor, and there were people not in favor.
But they didn't, based on that slide and what they presented, they did not rank outdoor facilities.
Yeah, we didn't go through those three facilities and rank them like we did the other ones.
Part we have to understand is there were people that wanted $54 million worth of work done. So when these prices started trickling in, it was a little, disheartening for the work that had been done for a lot of months before. It was just a real significant dose of reality that hit that group that I was a part of. But I understand. Again, I understand we're discussing, there's a motion out there, again, just for the idea of keeping things moving along. I have a very good idea as to how 5 people are gonna vote. It's just a matter of how the other 2 are gonna vote, because that's what's gonna decide.
Well, this is so hard. We really don't know what the majority of people are going to do.
Nobody has a magic ball.
I just know there are people that none of these other things are gonna have any sway, and you say baseball or football, and they're like, yeah, okay, I can do that. And it might have nothing to do with our students, but it has to do with their personal, I love baseball, I never miss a Brewer or Cubs game, whatever ones you are.
You should miss a Cubs game whenever you can.
Right? The Packers, the Bears,
Sorry.
whatever. There's just some people like that just triggers something
And I
with
know
them
that we're
that
going-
they support it. I don't know.
So one of the other things to think about too when you're doing capital referendums at times is to like, how many people it's gonna touch, right? So when we did the stadium donation, like we went through that process, which is kind of like a referendum, it wasn't, but it was, right? We walked through and talked about all the different people it touched, right? And not just, it was it's a football field. No, the team I think that benefits the most from that turf field is the girls soccer program. Because the girls soccer program in the spring, that field was torn up by the boys, the football and soccer, and then in the spring, it
And then the
was
football
horrible.
players would always blame the girls.
Right?
But it also, the band,
Yeah.
You also had the dance cheerleaders out there. You also were able to have all those Phi Ed classes out there.
Yeah.
You could play baseball out there. You could, right, in the spring, when it's muddy, you can go play fly balls, and softball can be out there. Like, the more people you have involved in a referendum, the more people will support it if you can touch things, right? So it's one of the initial things, when we first started talking about this, I think I had one thing from each of the buckets, right? At the PAC, like, if you can touch a piece of different things.
And that's kind of where I'm coming from, and
Right.
Teresa, that kind of goes with your point. People are gonna say, oh, they're supporting CTE, their pool, locker rooms, practice field, oh, and baseball, like, we are kind of touching a lot.
That property is in my backyard, so I see how that current, calling it a field is generous. It's literally an area that's mowed and there are some lines painted. But it is used in the fall and in the spring. And it's high school kids using it, and it's first grade kindergartner football people using it. So I think that's to kind of to Vince's point about how many different people can you touch, those practice fields. And I know that we've been hung up on baseball, but those practice fields would, I think, touch a lot of
Well, we have the
people.
practice fields in the 9.1.
Which would be in the 9.1.
They're in the 9.1.
Yeah, they're in the
I know.
9.1.
I understand that. And the reason that we were talking about doing the practice fields, because we were worried with baseball about losing.
How would the community around that area feel about having that noise and the announcers and
There aren't
maybe one day
really any
lights
announcers.
and maybe?
Well, they're already by,
I
I
don't know.
mean, that
Ask
community,
Emily,
They
she
live by the
lives,
school.
she lives right there too.
I mean, you already hear the football stuff too, you know,
Yeah, you
if
can
you're
hear
in that
it.
area, you're gonna already hear that stuff. We were on L.A. Ray this weekend and we could hear the soccer game, so, but, just a thought, yeah.
I live 4 miles from the football field and I can hear them, so.
Yeah,
And
I'm
it
2 miles
it
away. I
is,
can
it is what
hear
it is. It's not gonna change the noise level.
No.
It's the noise level's already there.
That's a different level of noise on a baseball field.
Yeah.
Is there any more discussion? Anyone else have stomachache?
I'm glad I don't have to vote.
Aren't you?
I think we're going to do a roll call vote, just like we did for the first one. I think it just makes sense.
Let me guess
And
where
I
you're
started
gonna
over
start.
there, so I'm starting over here. I'm making it even, okay?
So I start? No.
No.
Yes.
Did you say no?
Yes.
Oh.
I
You
said
had my
yes.
good ear. Okay.
I know, I'm waiting on Adam.
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
I last, because if I'm deciding, then I have to.
Yes.
yes.
No.
Yes. And now I've lost track.
4-3.
4-3.
4-3, motion passes. And I know that we were really aiming for a 7-0 vote on this. We talked about it numerous times, and I want to express the community that we might not be 7-0, but we are all in agreement that this is all for the kids. And we are just trying our best to touch as many kids' lives and activities.
The way this board works is it wasn't a 7-0, but it is now a 7-0 going forward.
Great way to say it. Yes. You guys, thank you for all of this discussion. I hope the community sees all this, and I hope everybody walks away feeling okay, right?
This is what we're doing, so.
Thank you guys for all the time and energy you put into this. I know they are not easy decisions, and you've spent a lot of time, you got, obviously, as I pointed out before, this has been years in the making, and then taking time to go back through these documents, and then still it becomes an agonizing decision, because it's never straightforward, right? You're trying to do what's in the best interest of kids, you want to provide everything you can, but you're also trying to balance the needs of taxpayers and the community as well. So I appreciate the amount of time and energy and diligence you put into this, because it's not easy.
Well, and we appreciate, like, Vince, you've done a lot of
Yeah.
researching and setting up stuff.
And
Jason,
you have
we've been asking you
resaid it
question after
over and
question.
over and over.
I know you guys have worked on stuff too, like, everybody. Like I said, this is a community referendum. This is not just a few people, so.
So again, just like the other one, we will bring a formal motion to the July board meeting like this for the ballot, like all that, based on the decision that was made tonight.
Okay.
And then we'll vote on that in the July board meeting.
Okay.
So we have the ballot language.
Okay. Oh, we have to move on, do we?
Yeah, we have other agenda items.
Oh, yeah.
They should go quick.
Excuse me. Yeah, there's that.
Okay, so the draft budget.
Yeah, so it is that time of year again where we have to put together a draft budget. We have to have it done by July 1st. So really what happens is the board approves a proposed budget in June, which is kind of, if you think about it, it's kind of silly because we don't know a lot of the stuff that has to go into the budget, right? So we adopt the final budget around November of this current year. The current budget data suggests that we will project a slight deficit, which was anticipated when we passed the last referendum. The district is still going to be waiting for very important information. We get our student count on the third Friday in September, state aid finalization October 15th, property value certification on October 1st. And then we will bring that all back to the community, to the board, and then to the community at the annual meeting in October. The Facility and Finance Committee reviewed the budget at their June 2nd meeting and unanimously moved it to the full board with a recommendation of approval.
This is actually our numbers, right? This isn't just like a sample, because it says, the whole
Yep.
recommended format, so I wanted to make sure. I'm just curious, Jason, and it's the budget, it's so confusing, but like some of these totals are going up and some of them are going down.
Sure.
So, can you just tell me kind of why? I mean, you don't have to get too detailed, but.
So, you're looking at 3 fiscal years in the same document. So the far left column with numbers is gonna be actuals from 24-25. So those are audited figures.
Okay.
That middle column is where we can kind of project we might land this year. Those are completely unaudited, and we're still obviously spending here in June.
Okay.
And then that far right-hand column is what I'm projecting budget numbers to go. So on the upper part of that document will be your revenues. So if you see some increases, it might be changes in how the state aid levels are coming in versus property taxes. So some of those will fluctuate that, so different sources of those revenues.
Okay.
On the expenditures, we kind of went over before, there's some staffing reductions through attrition that are coming, so some of those will change. But then also there's some CPI increases in some of our contracts and such, which will change those figures as well.
Okay, because like the federal, those numbers
So
are
that's
way
the
different.
significant change. That is because we're expecting to receive solar tax credit, so 30% of our project costs. So that's the revenue coming in, and then we'll be paying down principal with that,
Okay.
what we're expecting.
Okay, awesome.
So it'll come in and go out.
Yeah. Okay.
The one thing, it's just a good point. As a business manager, they're always working through 3 budgets. But finalizing this one, just got finalized in the audit. This one's working right now, and then you have a proposed budget, so it's always working through that process.
Special kind of person.
Yes.
Business manager.
I move to approve the 2026-2027 draft budget as presented.
I'll second.
Motion by Scott, second by Sarah Ramesh. Any more discussion? Thank you for that, I appreciate it. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Okay. Policy review.
Yeah, the policy committee met on Tuesday, May 26th, and reviewed and unanimously moved the full board recommendation approval 9 policy revisions recommended to us by.
Kind of seem like the same things in.
Very similar, yeah.
Was
Okay,
that
so it's just
is this all
something.
because of state law change?
Yeah, Act
Yep.
89.
And it was administration versus staff versus, that's why
Yeah.
you have the,
Okay.
Yeah, that looked
they're
like
not all
multiple.
wrapped into one.
I like when I go to the committee meetings so that I don't.
It's just
but
not,
still,
oh, yeah.
I guess it's good for everyone to hear too, so.
So overall, for all of these policy things, it's a reoccurring theme, and being in SAB's club, it's a reoccurring theme. So maintaining a record of student communications
Yep.
is next to impossible because of the way it's different there, and it's different there, and it's
Yes.
different there. So as part of this change of policy, can we put together some sort of group that looks at Minga or something else? And then every single group and sports uses that one app.
Well, and that
Tyler
was
Potter
in
is
the hand.
smiling broadly behind you.
I was gonna say, that was in the handbook, right? The coach's handbook, where
We
that we're
are,
gonna have
we are
the
working
same.
on bringing in Parent Square.
Whatever it is, whatever the
Yeah,
app
So
is.
Tyler's meeting with our administrative team to talk, really kind of go through that. We are gonna bring in Parent Square, roll it out this fall for that very reason. So when there's
Scheduling,
student,
yeah.
when there's communication between a staff member and student, it's gonna be through Parent Square, so there's an
I know.
accurate record.
I know.
All athletics
That's
will
what
go
I'm
through Parent Square, so there will be a record.
That's gonna be great.
All of those things. It's great, but it's also a little overwhelming. If you get kids in several different activities, you're gonna get all these Parent Square notifications. So part of us is gonna have to work through that. But there is then a pullable record if there's an issue going on.
Yes.
That we can pull versus, if someone's texting back and forth,
Yeah.
right? Then there's not a record of that.
Yeah.
And this is all coming out of the new Act 89 grooming
Oh, for
laws
sure.
and concerns. And there's some training that'll have to happen with our faculty and
Well,
staff
that's
again with grooming this fall, that's required. So, yes, that is something that we're working on and we're gonna be rolling out. It'll be part of our, actually putting our scorecard and something we'll roll out for next fall.
And this is, for next school year already.
Next school year,
Yeah.
yes.
Nice. Well, thank you, Tyler, for doing that.
Yeah.
Adam, great idea, even though it wasn't your idea.
No.
Oh, you've been thinking about it forever.
I can delete about 15 apps off my phone now.
Right.
I know, it does, or all the emails and then, yeah,
The
whatever.
text messages.
But thank you, Policy Committee, for going through all that.
Yeah, so I'll move to approve the updates to the 9 policies as presented.
I'll second.
Motion by Terry, second by Scott. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes 7-0. And we don't have any gifts or donations this time, which is surprising. We always do, so thank you, Lodi community. All right, our committee reports and meetings, CISA 5.
Two meetings to report on. So the first one was the annual meeting where you had to defend the Lodi seat on the CISA 5 board.
Nice.
Very
Did
successful.
you come in with
We've
your
been, yeah.
board here?
Yeah. We've been on there a long time, so any new school district that wants to get in on CISA 5 would kick us out. Kick out Point at first, and then kick us out second.
Oh,
We-
is that
we
how
would
it
get
works? The
kicked out?
oldest one?
The oldest one is there, so.
Really?
But nobody else seems to want to do it, so.
Oh,
So we're in for another 3 years.
I didn't know how that worked. Okay.
And then we had a great report on the youth apprenticeships. And instead of just talking to people about youth apprenticeships, they actually brought in a student who talked about youth apprenticeships, who was a ringer, of course. I mean, he was like an Emily, but
High
he was
performer.
phenomenal, and he sold that program so well. And he came, his first starting was like, I was super scared, I don't know what I was doing, and then I got in this program, and now I'm a business professional, he's not, but, and I'm going to college, and it was
That's awesome.
amazing.
And we got a Lodian in here.
Yeah, for
That's
sure, yeah.
awesome. I mean, there was several youth apprenticeships this year, but.
And then there's
One of
also
my
an
teachers.
annual meeting at this meeting, and so you go over all of CISA's stuff, CISA 5 stuff that they've done through the whole year, and so there's an annual report and where they're at, and he talks about all the wonderful things he does, like the calendar for superintendents and amongst all the other stuff that CISA 5 does.
Calendar
so.
for superintendents.
Yeah, so that they don't miss anything.
Oh, I thought like.
Throughout the year.
I thought like, like Vince could be September or something, like it's a picture of.
There you go.
Now, there's an idea
Good thought.
to suggest.
Yeah.
So that was the first meeting. The
Thinking
second,
of a poor fundraising idea.
Madison Fire Department does that, by the way. They put out a calendar every year.
the second meeting was just more of a regular meeting.
Sorry.
Where we talk about national conventions and things like that. But also, CISA 5 has satellite schools for special ed and things like that. And they're losing one of the school spaces. They buy our old school district's spaces, which we get rid of because we don't want them anymore.
Right.
And they're no good anymore, and that's the stuff that they run.
Yeah.
And so they've been looking for a newer option. They found a building. They came in with renovations of $150,000 to renovate it, and it was like, wow, that's super cheap, right? And then the state came in and said, well, no, you need way more money than that. You need a sprinkler system, you need an
Right,
elevator,
I
you
was
need
gonna
all this
say.
other stuff.
Debbie Downers.
Debbie Downers. And so the people selling the building said, you know what, why don't we just give you the building,
Oh,
right?
nice.
And then it'll make it cheaper for you. And we all, this school district and other school districts, it was on 2 months ago, I think, we approved that.
Yeah.
The
I was gonna say,
acquisition
yeah,
of the
no,
building. And they've been going back and forth with state and other city and town and trying to get what they need and what they don't need in this building. And it's about $550,000 right now. So we approved $600,000. I told them to go to 7, but they didn't want to go to 7 to get this thing done. So,
Yeah.
so they're getting a newer building, which has 6 classrooms in it, should have plenty of space. They're going to consolidate some other schools into this one and take care of everything in one swell fell swoop.
And where is this?
And what's the
Oh,
name of the
Stevens
school again?
Stevens Point.
Yeah, but what's
It's
the
going to be
name
a
of it?
consolidation of other schools, so it'll probably have
Oh,
a new
it'll
name
have a
or
new
something,
name.
yeah. So that was the second meeting.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Very interesting. Our co-curricular items / report. Sarah, is that you?
No, that's me.
Sorry, I always forget. When we switch it off, I always forget.
Baseball. The Lodi baseball team finished the regular season with an overall record of 16-9 and a conference record of 7-3. The team placed second in the Capital Conference and earned the number 3 seed in the WIAA playoffs. They opened tourney play with a 6-0 win over 14 Broadhead Judah at home. The season came to an end in the regional championship game, falling 1-0 to Edgewood. Softball, which we've heard about tonight, Lodi softball team finished the season with a 16-7 record and a conference record of 4-6. Team earned a number 2 seed in the WIA playoffs. They opened tourney play with an 8-4 win over number 7 River Valley, defeated number 3 Monticello New Glarus 3-2 in extra innings to clinch a regional championship. They took on rival Poinet in the first round of sectionals, winning 5-2 thanks to a 7th inning 3-run home run by Mara Lane. The team punched their ticket to state in a thrilling extra innings win over number 1 Adams Friendship by a score of 8-7. The Blue Devils earned the number 3 seed at the state tournament and will take on number 2 New Holstein this Friday at 2 p.m. in Madison. Girls soccer. The Lodi girls soccer team finished the season with an overall record of 9-7 and a conference record of 5-2. They earned a number 2 seed in the WIA playoffs. They opened tourney play with a 10-0 win over number 7 Assumption. They clinched the regional championship with a thrilling win over number 3 River Valley this past weekend. Both regulation and overtime ended in a 1-1 tie, sending the game to penalty kicks with Lodi advancing. They will head to Aquinas on Thursday night for the first round of sectionals. Lacrosse. The lacrosse co-op finished the season with an overall record of 7-8, a conference record of 4-6, earning a number 14 seed in the WIA tournament. Team opened postseason play with a 16-10 win over number 19 Lacrosse Central. Their season came to an end with a 19-5 loss to number 3 Edgewood Monona Grove. Track and field. The Lodi track team advanced 4 athletes to the WIA State Track and Field Championship in lacrosse. Advancing were Bennett Nyquist, Riley Wilcox, Maddie Skellinger, Aubrey Schuerman. Aubrey placed 10th in the 3200, and Bennett earned 2 trips to the podium, placing 3rd in the 300-meter hurdles and 5th in the 110-meter hurdles. Golf. The Little Golf team finished the regular season placing 3rd in the Capital Conference Championship. The season came to an end in the New Glarus sectional, with Lodi coming up just short of a state appearance, placing 3rd behind Cambridge and Edgewood.
Just so you know, we had the hardest sectional. If they would have been in any other sectional, we would be at state, but you know what I'm saying. Thank you for that. OSC.
Okay, so, OSC update, the meeting was May 20th. Project night was a success. Reader's Theater was a highlight of all the presentations. Some were in the large gym, some in the garden, and some in the library. Plant dig and fundraiser was a success. 5th grade students loved it. We are ready to welcome 2nd graders for a visit. They already did that. Also, back into a more normal routine after Forward Fine Arts and Project Night. Excited about that and are getting ready for the end of the school year, which, there we are. We will be having OSC 5th grade graduation. That was already happened. Mr. Schuneman shared information about a gallery walk at the last board meeting. Attendance rate for the school, 96%. That's really good. Thank you, staff, for their work with Fine Arts Night, Stride with Pride, tree planting, and project night. And we do a lot to help our fifth graders and our incoming third graders with transition. OSC fundraising, lemonade stand, signups for the fair, possible September 19th Trinan Farm event in the fall, finishing the books on the OSC interventionist and OSC field study coordinator positions, and working on seeing if they will do this again next year. Next board meeting, June 16th, and Mary Klein's house is the retreat, summer retreat.
Awesome, thank you. Board committee reports, personnel has not met since the last board meeting. Curriculum.
Okay, that is me. I will try to keep it brief. We met on May 26th, and the first item was that we heard from Jen Morgan. She gave us a report on the ESL program. We reviewed a 5-year trend data report regarding our district's English language learner population. All identified ELL students take the annual access assessment during a window in December and January. Enrollment counts fluctuate because the population can be transient, and earlier grade levels, such as early childhood and 4K, are not officially registered in these numbers until testing begins. Ms. Morgan detailed that her role will be shifting next year to encompass some Spanish teaching responsibilities, such as teaching blocks 3 and 4 at the high school, while also continuing her ELL support. We then had an update from some folks from the OSC team who came to highlight their standardized project process workflow. The program has compiled a comprehensive project booklet. This year marked the final year under the official memorandum of understanding with the Ice Age Trail, although from my understanding, the relationship is not going to be over. It's just sort of, this is the end of this current contract.
They're talking about just renewing that then, or?
That wasn't what they said exactly.
Yeah. I think there's twofold, right? Like there's us as a ICH Trail campus, that's a continuation. Right? The memorandum of understanding is just on like how we're going to work with the districts as a whole, but also specifically with OSC. But we're going to continue to partner with them. That was a focus for Project Night. And that was a part of Ice Age Trail's commitment, also to give us people to commit to coming to our events too. So it's kind of twofold, so we have to have a conversation with them.
I'm confusing the campus thing with the OSC. That was my problem. Okay.
Students recently worked with a local artist to edit, illustrate, and publish their own books, which they brought a sample of, and they are fantastic. You guys should check them out. It was just adorable illustrations. The stories were really clever. Cute. They were really cool. So.
And which grade level was this?
Wasn't it all levels, yeah. Project Night, which was just mentioned, featured an experimental readers theater structure, forming a performance based on student research. OSC is excited about the use of magnetic literacy for the upcoming school year for the 25-26 pilot. We were going to discuss advanced learner updates, but this had been tabled because our district had not yet received the state assessment data from DPI for reviewing advanced level results, so we'll discuss that at our next meeting. The next item was the high school dance team, which unfortunately is going to be discontinued. The administration had outlined a steady decline in participation numbers, which is linked to the document here if anybody wants to take a look, which is unfortunate, but youth programs like the Little Devil Dancers will be continuing under coordinated community and school guidance. There was an official recommendation and a motion to discontinue the high school dance team based on these enrollment numbers, which have been dropping. Then we had an annual textbook board approval, which must be done on an annual basis. There's a list of textbook adoptions and student workbook updates, which were reviewed by the District Curriculum Council. Then there was a quick discussion about, well, it wasn't quick, but we discussed it quickly earlier, the summer curriculum projects, all these fantastic projects that staff members have submitted to work on over the summer when many people think teachers are just sitting around relaxing by the pool. They are actually working and busy in the summer and innovating and doing lots of cool projects. Future agenda items were we'll be discussing the advanced learner update, board adopted standards, assessment schedule for the next academic year, and spring district local assessment data. Our next meeting is June 30th at 4:30.
Wow. Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome.
Facility and finance.
Two things were on the agenda. One was the budget for next year, which we already just covered, and the other was credit card fees for athletic tickets. And so the Capital Conference is gonna go to a credit card model for taking tickets. The cost is gonna go up for the entire conference. And so there's a fee associated with that, a credit card fee, and we're gonna roll that into that cost increase so that you won't see that, or people won't see that.
Because we could have just raised the prices and included the, like, and
Correct.
charged the fee, but we're just gonna, we
absorb
already
Absorb
had.
the fee.
Absorb it, okay.
Yeah. And those are the two things.
Awesome, well, thank you.
Wasn't the negligible fee for per transaction
Oh, it's
either?
90
It
cents.
was like 93 or 90 cents.
Yeah.
Plus like 5% or 10% of.
Staying at $1 more.
It's crazy, it's like
Yeah.
$1 a ticket.
Well, thank you, guys. Policy.
We went through, approved
Yeah.
what we had.
Thank you, guys, for your committee work. I know it's a lot of discussion, so. And our future meetings, our next regular school board meeting is Monday, July 13th at 5:30. Our curriculum committee meeting will be Tuesday, June 30th at 4:30. Policy will also be Tuesday, June 30th at 6 o'clock. Personnel is Tuesday, August 4th at 4:30, and facility and finance is on Tuesday, August 4th at 6 o'clock.
I don't think policy will be made as.
Okay, so forget what I said about policy.
No, we're good.
And I do not believe we have to go back into closed session.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I have a second.
Motion by Sarah Rayner, second by Adam. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you, guys.